Hello, everybody. Pop culture curator here. Hope you all are doing well. We are back on a Tuesday, well, at least in the evening where I'm at. I don't know if it's daytime for you or morning, but it's good to see you all. I'm excited. I'm always excited, but I have one of my favorite movies of all time that I've watched over and over since I was a child, and it's always been a favorite. I could watch it endlessly and never get tired of it. It inspired me to read the book, the original Time Machine by H.G. Wells, and I enjoyed that so much. I read other H.G. Wells work, including War of the Worlds, and I'm really happy. And we'll be talking about uh, the movie The Time Machine, the original, that is, of course, from 1960 with Rod Taylor. And we'll compare. I'll add a few notes in about the differences between that and the story and the adaptation for film. And the first thing I want to do is say hello to my co-panelist. Hello, Gorillas. Brandon Thoughts. How are you doing there, sir?
Doing good though. I'm in my comfy chair, got full belly next to the heater, so we're playing with fire tonight again.
Lucky guy. Well, I've got the heater, but I don't have the full belly. I'm hoping maybe I don't know. That's not important. How are you doing, Nemesis?
I'm cold and I'm hungry.
You're cold and you're hungry. Wow, I wish I could borrow some of that cold from you and some of the food from Gorilla.
Oh,
Well,
dude, right?
all I did was make two eggs there, and we'll give you some of this cold here because we just got out of the winter storm there, so now we got the cold front behind it.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
How much
lovely.
snow do you got? How much snow do you have, Gorilla? We had 9 inches here last I checked.
Yeah,
Nice.
5 to 6.
5 to 6.
My cousin got 10.5 inches there.
Ooh. Oh yeah. And see, I usually get around town this little scooter. But on the snow it just spins. It won't do anything. So now I'm walking. So oh well. I guess that's good for exercise, right?
Yeah.
But it's so good to see you, and I want to say hello to the chat, and especially first come first serve. Swift, greater than Disney, Star Wars, and MCU, was here early, and Taylor Swift is waving, and it's so good to see you, Taylor Swift. I'm glad you're here. And hello, Suzanne. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're keeping warm. Suzanne Eckstein says hello, pops, and she also says Gorilla hello and Nemesis hello.
Hi,
And
Suzanne.
Hale, yeah, hello, also Lemon Pie. Good to see you as well. And Lemon Pie, thank you for being on the stream last night. I appreciate that on the in the chat. And Suzanne, I know you had to leave early last night, but I appreciate you stopping by. Taylor Swift says hello. Suzanne Eckstein says Lemon Pie, hiya. Lemon Pie Nemesis says Nemesis. And Lemon Pie says, hey,
Hi, Lemon.
Suzanne. Okay, so I had to ask first. And I apologize, forgive me if I'm asking you a second time, Nemesis, but have you seen this movie previously?
Hello, Taylor Swift, Disney Star Wars. Better than Disney Star Wars. And yeah, no, Pop, I had not seen this before. This was the first
Okay,
time for
good.
me.
Okay, so you're excellent. You're a time machine virgin. Uh, myself and
Yeah.
Gorilla had already, right? Myself and Gorilla had already seen it before, and for
Okay.
Els, everybody in the chat, I hope you have seen it before. I don't want to give away spoilers. If you have not seen it, oops, we lost Nemesis. Hopefully, he can come back. If you have not seen it before, go to my if you go to my YouTube channel and go to the community tab, and down below there you'll see the time machine, and in the notes you'll find a link where you can watch it without commercials and absolutely for free without having to pay for a streaming service. So I don't want to spoil this for you. So if you haven't watched it, please, not right now, but I'm sorry about my dogs. I'm not kidding. Immediately they start. Yeah, they want up, down, up, down. As soon as I get online, it's like, what the fuck? Oh, sorry.
They know. They know.
Okay. So yeah, and also if you're listening to this or watching it on the rerun, I hope you enjoy it. And if you do, consider hitting the like button. And if you haven't done so, maybe hit the subscribe button and hit the alert so that you'll know next time we have a stream. I've got a lot of interesting content on my channel that I'd like to share, and there's going to be a lot more to come. Hopefully, if everything works out, if I get monetized. No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't matter if I get monetized or not. I'm still going to keep things coming through. We have we have almost 2 seasons of Lost in Space to complete, which we do on Mondays, and then we're finishing up season 2 of Gilligan's Island tomorrow night, Wednesday. Then we'll be heading into season 3 of that. So I'm excited. We've got a lot of stuff moving on, and then we have our, of course, like tonight on our Tuesdays, we have our horror sci-fi stream, and tonight, of course, again, the Time Machine, the original. I know this movie it's been remade several times. I'll put it that way, and I've seen some of the remakes, if not most or all. I think the best remake, it's not really a remake of the Time Machine directly, but the best movie, in my opinion, that's influenced by the Time Machine is the Back to the Future trilogy. That's the only one that I would really recommend. You could tell that Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale, when they made Back to the Future, you could tell they were fans of this movie and they were heavily influenced by it. And I'll point out a few similarities. There's a remake in I think around 2002 or so with Guy Pearce. Stay far away from that. It's absolute travesty, of course. So I do not recommend it. Unfortunately, it was directed by the great grandson of H.G. Wells. So you would think it would be a good movie, but it's quite the opposite. It's horrible. It's bad, bad, bad. So if you haven't already seen it, stay far away. You have no need to. Watch the classic, which we're going to be doing here in a moment. So I've got everything queued up. And I just want to say that this movie was released. Where's the exact month? I know it was 1960. So I'm trying to find out. I can't. Usually the place where it tells me the release date has the month and year, but it doesn't. It just says 1960. And by the way, tonight it's going to be a rated G movie. So don't worry. You're not going to see boobs or any kind of gore or anything like that. It's going to be a clean movie. But I can tell you right now is you're not missing anything because, like I said earlier, I read the story, and this sticks very close to the story. I would say this is absolutely one of the best book-to-movie adaptations I've ever seen. There's just a small segment in the story that is not in the movie, which I'll mention a little later when we get to that part of the movie. But other than that, I mean, it's amazing. In the book, they just called him the time traveler. But here, Rod Taylor plays George Wells. So it's like he plays H.G. Wells. The guy who wrote the story, according to the plot, is an inventor. And it's the turn of the century. It's December 31st, 1899, is when he first displays the time machine to his friends. I know I'm gabbing a lot, and I apologize for that, but I'm really excited and I love this movie.
Don't apologize.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. Is there anything anybody wants to add or say before I start?
Should we say hi to the chat here?
Yeah, we can get caught up. Yeah, thank you. Good idea, Gorilla. I appreciate that.
Hey to Scurvy and Susanna Taylor. There, welcome.
Hello.
But anyhow, Suzanne says no pops, but we have good friends helping by giving us a warm place to stay for now. Well, that's good. That's
bless them. All right then. Excellent. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, welcome Taylor Swift. And Scurvy here says, hi, artist known as Matt G.
Formerly known as Matt G.
LOL. And I liked a few scenes of the 2002 one, but the original is timeless.
Ha!
Well, I have to 2002 remake. And first I'm going to say is there's one actor in this movie, the original, who was also in the remake. I'll point him out when we get there. But what I didn't like about the remake was how, just thinking about it gives me great pain. But basically the whole subplot where the girlfriend dies and he tries to go back and rescue her over and over and over. That was so, so, so bad because that was obviously nowhere in the story. And thank goodness it's not in this movie. But that is what totally ruined that movie. That movie had a good chance. I like the design of the time machine in that movie. But, and the CGI Morlocks, I don't even want to go there.
Yeah,
another disgrace.
So, Pop, were you like, oh, the pain, oh, my pain?
Yes, yes. That's how it would be if I was watching it right now. It'd be insufferable. Maybe if I had a lot of alcohol or something, but no thanks. I don't usually. I'm not. I don't tend to go out of my way to watch something that I dislike. All right, so here we go. And once again, as a reminder, everybody, we're not able to play the whole movie due to copyright reasons. YouTube will strike me dead. So we're just going to be skipping through there's certain scenes and frames, kind of giving you a general idea of what's going on in the movie. We can't even read a lot of the dialogue for you because copyright warning. So I do have the subtitles turned on. Whenever I bring up a slide that has subtitles, I'll try to leave it on long enough to give you a chance to read it as we're kind of explaining what's going on. All right, here we go. Okay, so now we get our grandiose beginning. And please, player, don't start giving me. I remember last week it was doing that, giving me issues where it just stopped working.
Yeah. Hey, Pickles, welcome. Says, hey,
Hello,
guys.
LDG. Good to see you, LDG.
Good to see you, LDG. Hope you're doing well, bud.
And sure enough, my player's messing up again. Hold on. It looks like it's hiccuping. Go back here. There we go. We get the MGM Lion. Oh, and I'm going to, in case anybody asked me, I had a good friend ask me this the other day. Where is this movie filmed? It takes place in England, but the entire thing is filmed on the MGM lot, Metro Goldwyn Mayer Studios. We get our opening.
Hey, I just love all the clocks in the opening there. And the music too is fantastic in this film. Who did the music?
Oh, that's a good question. You're right. The music is amazing. I do agree. Let me pull it up here really quick. That's a good question. I should have known that. And yes, it has a very catchy soundtrack. I remember I don't know if you could still find it, but there was a point where the soundtrack was available like on tape and CD. Russell Garcia did the soundtrack.
Oh, I haven't even heard of that guy, so.
Nobody did a good job, I got to admit that. This is directed by George Powell. George Powell was a very prolific director at the time. He's also known for The War of the Worlds, the original movie, which is another movie that I will be covering on this stream here eventually. And that's another movie that I'll have to say stay far away from the remake. Far, far away. Run away. Opposite direction. Fast as you can. I'll put it that way. And this is where we establish that it takes place in England. We get the clock, Big Ben. I hope I'm saying that right. There's probably somebody from the UK that's saying that's not the name of it.
It's Big Ben. You got it right.
Well, I remember at some point somebody told me that wasn't the name, but it was something else. I can't remember what they said. But I always thought it was Big Ben.
Well, over here in Canada, we call it Big Ben. So
right, everywhere but Britain. Right. There we go.
Yeah, right.
Music score Russell Garcia, right. And of course, as this movie was made back in the golden era of Hollywood, we get the credits at the beginning. And we don't have, 30 minutes, 45 minutes of credits towards the end of the movie with all the CGI people and everything. So we get a few credits here and who's starring and who's made by. I want to shout out here, by the way, for any of you guys that tune into our Star Trek streams, like on Jill's and under Jill's channel. A name we bring up very often is Hua Chang. Hua Chang has designed a lot of things for Star Trek, like the phasers, the communicators, tricorders, excuse me, stuff like that. He was a genius. And I wanted to say that he helped design the time machine for this movie and also do the special effects, which won an Academy Award at the time. So the special effects hold up really well for the day. And directed by the great George Powell. George Powell was an older gentleman, but he was like a kid trapped in an old man's body. And it's every time I see interviews with him, he's got this big smile on his face, and he's just really excited into his movies. And these were the age when they really, really cared about the movies. Here we have our opening. Like I said, this is New Year's Eve, 1899 in England. And we have Philby, who his department store is right across the street from his friend, the inventor, H. George Wells. And he arrives. There's the maid. And by the way, you'll see here that the inventor George has many, many clocks in his house. He's obsessed with time, and I love that touch. Even his oops, let me get this caught up here. Even the maid. Let me sure I read her name right. Her name's not. Oh yeah, Mrs. Watchett. Mrs. Watchett. So even the maid that you see here, even her name has a watch in the title, which I thought was really cool. And here's where she lets Bill be in.
Computer's dying.
Sorry, what's that? I think you said computer's dying. That's not a good time, right? Gorilla, I think his computer's dying, and it's like, oh, right as we're getting started. This is the gentleman that I was mentioning earlier. He's the guest star of the movie, but he also played a small cameo in the remake in 2002. He was still alive at the time. Well, so was Rod Taylor, the guy who played George Wells. He was alive. But this actor here that you see with the red hair was the only one that appeared in the remake. He ran a little store that was like across the street from where one of the point. I don't want to go into too much detail, but he was like a store operator. And if anybody knows classic television, you might recognize him from the classic TV show Mr. Ed about the talking horse. He played Mr. Ed's friend and owner, Wilbur. And now we get a table here. He comes and sits with George's friends. They've all been invited for dinner, but they're being very impatient because apparently they've been waiting and it's already 8 o'clock. So I guess they're giving us the hint that dinner is probably around 6 p.m. Here we have Sebastian Cabot, a fine actor who goes way back. I don't know if any of you all remember, but he was in a family comedy early 70s called The Family Affair. He played Mr. French, the butler. And after that went off the air, he hosted a short-lived anthology horror series called Circle of Fear, which was actually really good, really, really good, but it only lasted one season. And then he unfortunately, passed away at a relatively young age, which is sad. He's a good actor, and when he wants to be, depending on the role, he can be very funny. Now we have Whit Bissell. This is another actor that goes back and for many things. Whit Bissell and the connection to this movie, this is the Time Machine. He went on a few years later to star in Irwin Allen's The Time Tunnel. So he played a general in that, and it was interesting that he happened to play both of these programs that both were based on time. There we are, 8 o'clock. They're all impatient. The alarm's going off. All the clocks are going crazy. So, like a true clocksmith, they're all in sync. In fact, as you can see here, the guy on the right knows to check his watch. So if your watch isn't right, you know to be at George's house and just sync it into his clocks. You know it's going to be accurate. So here's we get our first lines where they're complaining that they've been waiting. But the guy on the far right, on the very far right there, you see with the tuxedo and the white tie, he's apparently a little tipsy. Looks like he's enjoying himself a little more than the rest. So they're going to establish that he does drink a little more than the other friends. Here comes Mrs. Watchett saying, "Dinner is served," and that there is a note here that George left behind, which Philby reads. Of course, they're very impatient because they've been waiting. So, they're wondering, have we been invited for dinner? And he says, apparently we are. So the note says that George will be along any moment and for them to go ahead and head to the dining room for dinner. And Mrs. Watchett opens the doors and they follow her in there. And they have a seat around the table. I know, dog, you want back up again. I know. All right. And of course, they're complimenting her on her cooking. And here comes George through the door. And of course, they're not used to this because, as you see, they're all prim, proper, and clean and everything. And George looks worse for the wear, I guess you could say. There he is. Dirty, uh, torn clothing, all that good stuff. So first they panic, and he tells him he's okay. And he says, all right. And he collapses into the chair. And he just says he wants some food and drink, that he's extremely thirsty. And now he tells him he's got a story to tell him. I'm going to tell it like I remember. Well, I still remember. And his friend Philby on the left with the red hair is telling him, relax, just relax. You've all the time in the world. That's a phrase he'll repeat more than once in this movie. And he says, you're right, all the time in the world. And he reminds them that the last time I saw you guys was a week ago. Because this dinner's on Friday night. And he's telling them the last time I saw you was on Sunday. Here's where he has a box. And this is the week before. This is the Sunday. And as you can see, he's all clean and got his clothes all ready. And they're all wondering what's in the box. And he's kind of taking advantage of the situation and the anticipation because they're all excited, but he's just speculating. And what he's doing is he's explaining to them about time. They're being very impatient, but he's explaining how time is in the 4 dimensions. I don't want to go into too much detail on the dimensions. Most of you guys know what those are. But he says that we can travel in 3 dimensions, but in order to travel through, he's saying that we're a prisoner of time. And in order to travel through time, you have to be able to travel through the 4th dimension. And here's where he asks him, will you mind reminding me on the first 3 dimensions? And he asks the doctor here with the beard here, will you please explain? And he does. But of course, they don't believe him. They don't quite get what he's talking about or why he's talking about time. They think he's a little eccentric. Yeah, but by the way, you guys know what eccentric means. That's if it's a rich person, they're eccentric. If they're poor, they're crazy.
That's right. This is a really, it's not dry, it's easy to follow, but it's very imperative to the movie to understand this series of time travel, how they explain it in the movie.
Right, the basic rules within the movie, because we know the rules are different in different time travel movies, but he explains the rules within this movie.
Yes.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back, Gorilla. Did you plug in the computer?
Yes.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Hopefully it'll survive for the rest of the stream. So here's what happens is George opens the box, and I have to say the director, George Powell, is so lucky. After the movie was wrapped and finished filming, he was able to keep that. And he kept it, the box and the miniature time machine for many years until his house had, of course, a fire, and it was destroyed in a fire, which is heartbreaking. I wish I would have had at least a replica of that. I think it's very beautiful and very iconic.
Yeah. Hey, can we catch up on the chat here? We got a lot of it.
Great idea. Thank you, Gorilla.
Yeah. And welcome Daniel's Hot Topic. He says this is the best time machine movie.
Thank you, Daniel. And yes, I agree. Good to see you.
And he says hello
Hey,
to
Daniel.
Just Pop.
Hello. I'm sure he's gonna he'll say hello to you guys too. And look, we have excellent. We have Edge of Time here to watch the time machine with us. What better can you get? I mean, thank God. I feel blessed. Hello, Edge of Time.
Yeah.
Hello, Edge of Time.
Welcome, Edge of Time. And then that's Daniel said they're saying hi to everyone. And Daniel says, you got all the time in the world if you got a time machine. Yep.
It's a good thing he doesn't age back and forth during this movie, though.
Yeah, because like I know when they in that Wretched Cursed Child book there, they said if they used the time turners in that one there, you age the amount of time that you travel. They don't have that in this movie.
No, they do not.
Yeah, and Edge of Time says this gathering always reminds me of the story, though through the gates of the Silver Key, a favor of mine.
It's an
Oh,
H.P.
I haven't heard
Lovecraft
of that.
story. It's an
Oh,
H.P.
nice.
Lovecraft story.
I'm surprised that I had to have read it at some point because I really read a lot of H.P. Lovecraft. I love him.
Yeah, and welcome Melted Copper. He says, "Is there a way to see the show on like YouTube? I am lost in cyberspace on this one. Here, I'll get it for. I'll get you a link.
Well, if
Okay.
not, then I have a link in my community tab. Right
Yeah,
below the movie, you'll see the movie poster right below it in the notes.
Yeah, and I got a link for the high seas here.
Thank
And
you.
Nice.
Yeah, go ahead and post that in the public chat. Thank you, Gorilla.
yeah, Melted Copper says, hello, Ron Gorilla, the usual gang. And welcome the man of many words, Cody Guy.
Hey, Cody guy. Hope you're doing well.
Hail, Cody Guy. Hail, Melted Copper. Hail, Jim.
And welcome, Jim. Welcome.
Hail, Jim.
Now, are you throwing it at him? What size are
That's
you
right,
throwing at
like
him?
a Pokemon move. It's super effective.
It looks like everybody's saying hello to each other. That's great.
Yep. Everybody say hi. We're all caught up.
Thank you, Gorilla. So here's where we get our reveal. And he does mention, George does mention to his friends here that this is the prototype pretty much. And that he, in passing quickly, briefly in one of his sentences, he says that he has a larger one. And there it is. Notice how it's designed with a sled in mind. That was George Powell, the director, when he was a child, that was his favorite toy, was a sled in the snow. So it's a sled with a barber chair, which I think is really cool. That wheel, the time wheel, is designed that when he's going forward in time, it goes clockwise. When he's going backwards in time, it goes counterclockwise. And we'll get more detail on how that looks soon. And here's where he's going to give a demonstration for his friends. I hope I don't get too many copyright warnings on this.
Who makes it? MGM, he should be good.
Well, MGM is now owned by Amazon, so it'll be Amazon if anybody. Yeah, if you guys have Amazon Plus or whatever their streaming service is, this is probably on there since they own the MGM library. What is it? Of course, the doctor still doesn't know and understand. So what George does, he says, to carry a man, I need a larger one. To carry a man, where, they say? They don't know. So they're thinking like location to location. They're not on the same level as him right now. And he says, not where, but when. The past or the future. And here's where he tells them it's a time machine. Of course, they're like, what? Electric joke, tell us what this contraption is for. And he's explaining to them it goes forward in time and backward in time. And of course, they're rebuffing him and they don't believe him.
See, one issue you could say is he says that it doesn't move. It occupies the same point in space. There, it just moves through time, But the problem is they don't mention that it's anchored to Earth, and the Earth's never in the same spot, because we're moving through the galaxy. Earth's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. We're revolving around the sun at like 180,000 miles an hour. We're moving through our galaxy at 2 million miles an hour, and then our galaxy's moving through space at 200 million miles per hour. So it's like we're never in the same spot.
But
You're like Gorilla do math.
Right, but think about this: if it's anchored to the Earth because it happens to be sitting there, there's no wheels, it's not moving. Then wherever the Earth goes, it goes. So it doesn't matter if it's 1 mile or billions of miles; it's going to be in the same location.
Oh, I'm just nitpicking.
Well, like to me, this is like Chrono Trigger. If anyone has ever played that Super Nintendo game, it's the same thing. There's a gate. It goes to a certain point in time. It stays on the Earth because, like you said, Gorilla, the Earth is constantly moving. Like it's not going to be in the same spot where it was at any different point in time. So the way it is like the time travel machine here is the gate, and it occupies one spot, and it's locked on that Earth. No matter where in the Earth it is, it's still locked to that spot.
Right.
It's kind of like a wormhole.
Yes. And that's what sets this apart, makes it different than, like, say, Back to the Future. Back to the Future, yes, it could travel through time, but it could also move. It has wheels. And then eventually flies, which just takes everything out of proportion or changes everything. So, as you can see here, the doctors are still bewildered and they don't know what's going on. They think he's pretty much pulling their leg. So he says, allow me to experiment. And he pulls out one of the cigars from the doctor's coat pocket. And he's going to demonstrate with it. He bends it and then places it in the time machine.
I'd be a little pissed because those things are expensive.
Yeah, I know, but then think about this. If the doctor, which he's a doctor, so I imagine he's got money, he's not going to embarrass himself by being nitpicking about a few dollars in front of his friends. So I think it's all about stature also as well. If we were poor and it's like, oh my God, I had to save a week for that cigar, then yeah, it'd be different. Okay, so now what he's telling him is it has a lever. Yeah, I think he calls it a lever. By the way, Rod Taylor, the actor who plays George Wells, was an Australian. But he's having to play, which sounds like an American accent in here. So he's changing his accent for that. And if there's any Alfred Hitchcock fans out there, he also starred in Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds with Tippi Hedren, another movie that I'm going to definitely be covering on this stream. The remake from 2002 that I mentioned previously, that actor was also Australian. So it's interesting that in this and in the remake, they chose Australian actors. So now Ray tells him the lever that controls the movements. Forward, send it into the future. Backward, send it into the past. If it succeeds, I'll lose my model. That's why I need witnesses. He says there's only one. And now he's getting ready to activate it. And just for a joke, he grabs the doctor's hand and said, "Let's use your finger." Since you're the one that seems to be the biggest skeptic. So using the doctor's finger, he puts his finger on the lever and then pushes it forward. And the little red light there behind the seat lights up and the wheels start spinning. And as they hear a noise and a vibration and things around the house start shaking. Yes, go ahead, Gorilla.
I did put the link for the time machine in the chat for you, Melted Copper. To
Thank you, Gorilla. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Melted Copper says Rosebud.
Oh, that's a reference to Citizen Kane that's a sled too. Yeah, it did a little different kind of sled, but you're right about that.
Yeah, and Edge of Time says that Amazon Prime is the streaming service.
Prime, that's it, Prime. Thank you. I have Amazon. I'm an Amazon Prime member because I order stuff through them, but I don't watch any of their stuff. So that's why I didn't remember the name. So now we have the miniature time machine with the cigar posing as a person. Go ahead, Gorilla. Sorry.
And Melted Copper says, so where are you guys in the film? We're right at the beginning here. Right where he's introducing it.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see. I can tell you exactly. We are at 13 minutes, 41 seconds.
And welcome, Captain Finity Maximus, or Maximus.
Oh, we'll get the time expert himself. Well, welcome, Captain. I'm glad you could join us.
He says, I don't exist.
Well, Captain, you're welcome on the panel if you want to join us. I know that you like time. And I know you've discussed Back to the Future several times, but I don't know if you've ever discussed this movie, or at least that I was there when you did it.
Yeah, and Melted Copper says, I wish Chrono Trigger was more like Secret of Mana.
Oh, that's an interesting take. I don't think I've ever heard someone say that, but both are fantastic games.
Well, I'm glad you recognize the reference there, Nemesis. I didn't, so I felt like a fool. But so thank you for at least somebody understood.
It's what I'm here for. No worries, buddy.
Welcome, Daniel.
Nemesis is our resident gamer, so it makes sense that he would know. Welcome, Daniel. Hello. Good to see you.
Hi, Pop. What's up?
I am very excited. This is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Probably in the top 10, maybe, if anything.
Yeah. And Cody Guy says CT was the GOAT.
Yes, it was.
And other Greg
Thank
says
you.
this was a movie from a more civilized age. Excellent performance from Rod.
Absolutely. Then during the golden age of Hollywood, this is another difference is the acting is 100% on point back then, not like now. I hope they
It's
don't
what
change
sells
this
the movie.
Yes, it does. It does.
And welcome, Oiler Greg. Welcome, OG.
Hey, Lola Greg. Hope
Hey,
you're
OG.
doing well, sir. Hope you're doing well, staying warm, Lola Greg.
Yeah.
Hey,
And
OG.
Oiler Greg says that cigar is still time traveling today. It's quite famous throughout time.
That's right.
Dude,
Well,
that's my biggest problem with this. With that part of the demonstration is like he sent a time machine into the future, no idea where it's going.
well,
The
yeah,
implications are endless.
the question is what kind of power sources it has? He doesn't explain, so we don't know how long it runs.
Ooh, good point.
Yeah, is it like? I mean, it's not gas power. You don't hear an engine running or anything like crazy. So battery operated, perhaps electrical.
I don't
It's
know.
It's not
Welcome,
solar.
Scotty.
Hey, Scotty,
Hey.
good to see you.
Good to see you guys. I love this movie.
Happy birthday, Scotty.
Not yet. I'm not old yet.
Well, it's almost soon, isn't it?
It
Well,
is most, and I appreciate the thought. I should be gracious and thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Advance happy
Yeah, what the
birthday.
hell?
Right, ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly. Happy birthday to me. F you.
See, I didn't forget. So good to see you, Scotty.
All
It's
right.
good to see you guys too. Thank you
And,
very
Good
much.
to see you, Scotty.
And Oiler Greg says it pops up regularly.
Hey, oh.
Lemon.
And Melter Copper says it's the turn-based fighting. I can't do that anymore. Oh, that sucks.
sorry to hear that.
Yeah. You may get a sci-fi raid soon. Cool.
Oh, that
cool.
would be fun. That would be cool. Hopefully they'll get her
Hell
soon
yeah.
so they'll miss too much of the movie.
And Jim says, time. What is time? And,
What is that? It's like a river?
and OG here says, time traveling cigar, loving hello to you, Jim. And Scurvy here says, if you meant CT scans are the bomb, I disagree.
Me too. I've had enough of them and they're no fun.
I'm not looking forward to my first.
It's not great. It's not terrible.
It seems like cryo sleep, but you're awake.
Yeah.
No, there's no sleeping for that. Anyways,
Well,
we'll get
that's
into
what I mean
that
with
in a
the
different
awake.
topic.
Yeah. You can hear all about it next time.
Yeah, I've had CT, MRI, all that, and if I remember right, I think CT is the one that's really noisy, makes a lot of banging sounds.
You can't wear metal. It's all very magnetic.
No, that's the MRI.
Oh.
That's the MRI that makes a lot of banging sounds. At least it did for me when I went in there. It was awful. But yeah,
had
no,
an
they're
MRI
talking about
anyway,
Chrono Trigger, not CTs.
Who wrote The Time Machine? hgwells.
Yes, Herbert George Wells.
All right, we got a few more chats here.
All
Yeah,
right, Roo.
Elliot Greg says, vote Giant Spider in 24, the only politician that wants you fat and juicy. All right, now we're all caught up. Everybody's just saying hi to Scotty.
Thank you, Gorilla.
Hello.
So, let's see if I can catch it. So, as you can see, it does disappear. And there it goes. And, of course, everybody's dumbfounded except for George. He's excited. Of course, he's trying to keep his excitement under control. But they're just standing around bewildered. They still don't quite believe him. As you can see, the second guy from the right is actually looking around like it went somewhere. They haven't quite grasped the idea of it. And we even asked him, where did it go?
Well, they're thinking it's all parlor tricks.
You know, we even asked him, right, is it some kind of trick you learned from the magician, right?
Well, which is why he wanted to use Buddy's finger. It was just one less thing that he could be like, oh, well, you pushed the machine. It's like, no, you pushed the machine, actually.
Hey, Gorilla, you want to drop that chat?
No, not really.
All right. It was,
But then we can...
cover in my face. Anyway, sorry.
Right. Well, on what Nemesis said. Think about this. A magician, a lot of time, will ask for a volunteer. So they ask the volunteer to hold something, touch something, display something as they do their trick. So that kind of makes sense that they would think it's a trick. and likable from what is it from?
Oh, anything indistinguishable from modern science is practically magic.
Magic.
Yes, right. Thank you. My tongue was all tied up, but I think that explains the look on their faces pretty much, and then unable to really grasp what's happening. See,
But again, you point out the excitement, and that's the thing, is that we've discovered something. So it's treating magic as science, which is what the time travel trope is all about. All you got to do, guys, we can travel through time. How? Science. Oh, okay. Explain it to me. All right. How about I just show you what it's like? And that's what this movie is.
yes.
Well, I mean, it even goes on to say that there's portions of technology later in the future in this movie that I don't understand how they do it. So it seems like magic to me, but
And
it's
it
not.
seems like magic to him, too. That's the best part. Is he sees it and he's like, I can't believe the things I'm seeing, even though he's the guy who invented the most fantastical craft of them all.
Yes. And of course, and the doctor says, but where did it go? And he's telling him, well, it's right here. And he explains to him that in a few hundred years, the house may never be here. So who knows what the time machine is going to encounter.
Right? Like he made the point. He's like, there could be a mountain here. There could be something here. Like,
Yeah.
you don't know what's going to be occupying this space in millions of years. Like, but,
Yes.
and they just can't, it doesn't, they can't grasp that.
I'm sure we'll get there. We'll see a mannequin changing clothes shortly. And which I think, like, how do you guys feel about this movie as being an adaptation of the book itself? I've never read it.
I have read it, and it's very, very close. I would say 95% spot on. And I'll explain the 5% that's not in it and why.
All right.
When we get to that
Cool.
point.
Yeah, it's definitely one I've never read. Like I don't even.
It's an easy read. I would almost call it a novella. It's not that
Interesting.
really, yeah, it's not that big of a story. It's not a short story, and it's not like Stephen King's It. But I would say it's like a novella.
It's like the
Okay.
same length as A Christmas Carol, I think.
Well, it's longer than that. Thank goodness.
You think it's longer than that? Okay.
Yeah. And of course, the doctor still doesn't quite grasp on it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
And he's-
Ellery Queen? Is Ellery Queen? in the
No,
background? Okay.
Ellery Queen was Tim Hutton, and Tim Hutton is the son.
Sure.
And yeah, no, he wasn't really quite big. Scotty, do you recognize this guy? He was one of Mr. Ed. That was Wilbur.
You know what? For some reason, he looks like a guy from Star Trek: The Next Generation who warned Beverly Crusher not to have sex with a candle.
Oh,
I was getting like Orson Welles vibes from him.
Really, with the big bushy mustache?
No, with the big old beard,
Oh, the big old bushy.
like
yeah.
like a frozen
looks like
peas
Mr.
era
Mustard.
Orson Welles.
Doesn't he
Oh
look
yeah,
like
you're
Mr. Mustard?
talking about Sebastian Cabot, the second one from the left, right?
These are
Yeah,
all
sorry,
characters.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, and
And
I
like I
mean that in the most positive of ways. Like these, look at these distinct gentlemen. They are filling a frame. I think that these are great. And during the film itself proper, they all distinguish themselves as being like they're engaging to watch.
Yeah, and look how great they dress compared to how we dress nowadays.
Oh yes, they've got a 3-piece coat and
Yeah.
not t-shirt and jeans, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
like to me, the dress in a suit and all that, I'd be going to a funeral.
These are the days where
Or
you
a
could make a
wedding.
living as a shoe shine boy.
And they don't believe him, but they wish him a happy New Year. They go about their way.
Yes.
They all have plans for the evening,
Oh, wow.
and you can see he's disappointed.
Isn't this when he just gets to it though?
Yes, they take on.
Oh,
they
he's
don't
like,
waste much
fine.
time.
You don't want to see? Fine, I'll do it myself. He's Thanos.
He was hoping to show the time machine to them, but as you can see, he figures, why waste time? Waste my time when he has plenty of time. But
If you had a time machine, would you sell it like right off the hop without even testing it?
No, because
Okay.
first I'm going to go First, I'm going to go get rich from it and do whatever else I can do before I bring it back. Before I even tell anybody.
I don't know.
Maybe
spatial distortion is a problem for me. Like there is the geosynchronous orbit of the machine, the craft itself. It has to stay in one spot. Like, and that's something that I feel like is beyond. Breaking the fourth dimension isn't as hard as making sure that you can geographically reposition yourself within the fourth dimension, if I may be pedantic.
That is possible. Go ahead, Daniel.
Nerd.
Like I said, the problem with time. Okay, first of all, is this the saying? I'm sorry. Now that I'm on, I gotta say, the saying goes: Arthur C. Clarke's third rule: any advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Yeah,
and I love that saying. I love it. And also, the problem with time travel is, the Earth isn't a different place all the time, right?
Right.
If you travel, let's say if I build a time machine, I go back to 1995. Well, the Earth isn't in the same place. What happens?
Exactly.
I end up in space.
But if you're standing in one place and you're not moving, you'll be in the same place. It doesn't matter where the Earth goes.
Why are you guys questioning the magic of the movie?
Yeah, I know.
This science is beyond us.
Right, you're wrong. That's not how a time machine works. I have one. I know better.
Exactly. It's all fictional. It's a story that they're telling us, and it's a way to see the way of things to come, not just within our nearsighted observations, but also the distant future with Morlocks and Eloy. Don't forget, we get Sasquatch later.
This movie is so much better. This movie is so much better than the 1978 version. I mean, I'm not dissing the 1978 version.
No, you're right. It is. That was a shame, and it was made for TV. And this is also miles better than the 2002 crappy remake.
Yes. I like the crappy 2002 remake. You know what? The only one that I would say goes toe to toe with the original, The Time Machine, is Time After Time with Malcolm McDowell and David Warner and Mary.
That is yes, that's a great movie. Yes, and I'm going to be covering that on this stream because I do like that movie.
Nice.
Never even heard of it.
Oh, dude, it's
directed
by Nicholas Meyer.
I'm sure names I don't even know. Anyways, I feel like I'm Philby in this situation.
You'll be fine.
Right, Philby doesn't quite. The thing is that George's friends left. He wished them all Happy New Year, but he didn't notice that Philby stayed behind. So George sat down at his desk and started writing note, and then that's when Philby gets his attention.
Oh, Scotty, did you get that link I gave you from it's like a copy of the 1978 movie, The Time Machine?
Where is it? Where'd you send it?
I think I sent it to you in the comment section of your channel.
Oh, good. Okay. My channel.
Well, don't you have a channel?
No, I have a Scotty R37. Yeah, that's how I get on the YouTubes.
Yeah.
So you just sent it there?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to scavenger hunt, but I will watch. Like, it's just an available movie that I can watch on YouTube.
Yep.
The Time Machine, the one that we are currently talking about.
No, the 78 version.
Oh, the 78 version, the TV one. Thank you.
Yes. Do you need a link to the current one?
Can you guys send me a link in the private chat?
Which one?
Here's to the 1960
I'm joking.
one.
I'm joking. I will. You know what? I'm gonna write it down. I'm going to write down 19. What year was it? 1970.
1978.
What? 1978 Time Machine. What's it? Who was in it?
I don't know.
All right, don't worry about it. We can talk about it next time.
There were TV actors that never really went anywhere. It was a blonde guy with the mustache, if I remember right.
TV movie. I will look it up, and if it's available on YouTube, I will watch. Thank you.
And yet the whole time you're just going to be telling yourself, why did they bother? Why did they bother? But, I don't know.
So you're even telling me not to watch it. So
actually,
you can watch it, but don't expect it to be as good as this one.
Scotty.
Well, no, of course not.
Scotty, I just posted it right now if you want to see. If you just you can copy it.
All right, I see it. Thank you very, very much.
All righty. So how about we catch up on the chat here?
Good idea. Thank you.
This film is gross. It's like these actors are in like an actual room. Couldn't they green screen these clocks in?
No, fortunately, they had to actually back then. They had to go through the effort of having props.
No.
Practical effects are the best.
Yes, thank goodness.
And awesome lack of CGI melted. And Oiler Greg says, vote Marlocks in 24. It's tomorrow's rulers available today. Hey, I'm voting for Asteroid. Nick Melted Copper says, oh God, is that real beard? He should shave and then have better. Oh, screw that, Melted Copper. Now you're just trolling. Now you are just trolling.
Yeah.
It says, no one is voting Marlocks, nor should mutants be in film. I hope new Snow White either shrinks regular actors or just makes the dwarves live action. Yeah, no, I want real dwarves. And Greg says, I have a Marlock's nest in the back
Morlock.
yard. They are nasty but slow.
Morlock. M-O-R. Sorry.
Morlocks' lives matter.
Meyer lurks.
And yes, you dirty meaty lover. Where are the sentinels?
Hey, Suzanne.
Edge Time says, give those Morlocks the once over twice, Greg.
3 times Eloy.
And he says, hi, James Doohand.
Hey.
And other Greg says, I shall follow your advice, Edge. And other Greg says, cheers. The Morlocks are both extremely advanced and very primitive. They prefer to use their claws instead of their advanced weapons. Do they really even have advanced weapons?
I don't know. I get it mixed up. At the end of this movie, I get mixed up with the 2002 remake. So
maybe
I don't
this
know if they can they forge things at the end
somebody
of this movie?
wait, what's the question?
Well, he says the Morlocks are both extremely advanced and very primitive. They prefer to use their claws instead of their advanced weapons.
Well, you don't know how advanced they are exactly. We hear machines in the movie, but I know we haven't gotten there yet, but we hear machines, but it doesn't really show, other than that, what technology the Morlocks have.
Well, they
We're
do
kind of
that
getting
in the
ahead of
2000.
ourselves.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, Scotty. You're fine.
No, I'm not, because I'm bringing up a different movie that you don't like.
Yeah, so then, are we talking the X-Men? Nope.
Yes.
All right, we're all caught up.
Okay.
So this is when Philby and George, they hang out and they're talking about the implications. What if I could do it now, Philby? What if I could do it now?
Well, Philby is concerned. He's not sure whether to believe it. He's not acting or reacting the same way as the other gentleman that left. But it's like he partially believes George, but it's still so fantastic. He actually thinks that maybe George has been working really hard. Because the maid also mentioned earlier when she gave them the note that he barely eats. He barely comes out of his laboratory. He eats maybe a few nibbles of food, but he spends most of the time in the lab. So I think Philby's thinking that he's maybe a little overworked. So during this scene, Philby invites him back to his house and says, why don't you come and visit me and the missus? And you haven't seen Jamie in a long time.
That's important for later.
It's
And
hilarious
this is
with the Gilligan's Island subtitles. I agree, but here we are. And it just seems more whimsical. I love it. I love it. I'm not criticizing. I love it.
And for anybody who's fans of The Twilight Zone, that fireplace and mantle was in the episode with Roddy McDowell where he's put in the cage and all the people where he's an astronaut. He lands on the planet. They put him in a house, which he finds out is a cage, and all the people are outside the window staring at him. And this is the MGM movie. The props are going to be used over, from previous things and used again.
Was that production in color?
Black and white.
Okay.
In fact, I was trying to look up the name here. Let's see here of that particular episode.
I like how the guy on the screen is currently he's waiting. Fine. You
Might
find
be
it.
very patient. Yeah.
And welcome back, Nemesis.
Hi.
Indeed. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah, he thought it like Stitch there for a second.
So he even tells him, you saw the machine, didn't you? He says, I saw a toy machine vanish. So
Yeah.
Philby doesn't quite believe him.
magic tricks.
Would you believe him?
Yes, I saw something disappear on a desk in front of me. That's why I'm sticking around to talk to my friend about it.
So here he is. He even says, "Would you like to see the full-scale model?"
Yeah. I've got the real
No,
thing.
I would
Kenny.
not. Can you imagine that? Somebody would say, "No, I would not." I mean, it's like, who in their right mind would say that?
Once
I
again,
don't
I
wanna-
kind of understand where Philby's at, though. I'm just like,
Yep.
he's like, especially with what he talks about, like in 30 seconds, where he's like, "You need to destroy this now." Like, dude, you have no idea what you're messing with.
Right, here's where he says it. It's not for man to trifle with. Well, he's right. He's basically hinting at the implications of messing with time.
The laws of God and man.
That's another thing, too. This movie focuses on George goes forward in time, but he does not go back in time. So that's one of the things he does. He doesn't have to worry about affecting the current timeline.
True.
Well, I think he was. Well, didn't he say the whole reason he built it was that because he wanted to end wars or something, or get away from the time of war?
Well, he says it here, doesn't he? I think he doesn't. He just want to go past this time because he's sure that the enlightenment of future man will have resolved all things war, and then he goes forward and he sees atrocities that he can't even imagine. Like then he sees the destruction of Earth, and he's like, "No, but if I go further, humans will get better. I swear." And every
Right.
time he does so, he is confronted by
Right. So here's where Philby makes some promise that you promise you won't go out of the house tonight. And he says, "I won't go out that door. I won't walk out the door." So he says, "Okay." Philby leaves.
And Philby catches it. He's like, "Oh, damn it."
he's gonna do drugs tonight.
Now he
He
goes
got
back to now he goes back to his desk, and they show him going to the clock because remember this is Sunday night, so he's going to invite the same people back for Friday evening because that's when he's planning on coming back. And he tells Mrs. Watchett about it. That he tells her that he's having guests over for dinner on Friday, and he's writing the invitations to them.
He's meticulous. He's got a plan, no matter how crackpot it happens to be.
And I know, and I always, even as a little kid, I thought, well, why didn't he make it a seat for two? It's like, well, what if what if you saw it? It's like, okay, take me with you. You can theoretically stand on it, I guess, on the side of it and hold on to it, I suppose.
Whoa, pardon me. I just blew out my nose.
And we get a reveal.
Like, am I the only one who finds this like super hokey? Like, the dish on the back looks like something I saw in my grandmother's tea set.
I don't know. There's something charming about it.
The piece on the back, let me go back. The piece on the back there, there's notches, and there's 365 of them, one to stand for every day of the week. And so it actually has a lot of detail.
Year.
The movie
Day of the
does
year.
Day of the year, yes, thank you, day of the year. But the movie doesn't really focus in on the wheel and its design, but it was actually very nice and hand painted. I
There's
like
something-
the steampunk look of it because I'm a fan of Jules Verne and all that stuff. So
Oh,
I love the design.
The levers and everything, the console is fantastic, but I do like,
Yeah.
there's something about the rotating disc at the back of it that does signify a clock. It is very Victorian. I think it's classy, and I think it ties the whole time machine together.
I agree.
It looks like a roulette wheel.
Yeah, so you do. You
Have
look
you
like
ever-
a roulette wheel.
Have you ever taken
I resemble that comment.
Exactly. You're round and you're black and red.
right, Nemesis, have you ever taken apart a clock?
No, honestly, I have not. So I'm
There's
probably missing a lot of significance to this because there's lots of layers to the time element in this film.
Well, I'm just saying that there's if you get now of course new clocks, everything's electronic, but in the old days the clocks used to actually have a wheel that would spin constantly.
Oh, well
So
then.
it's almost like looking at the guts of a clock.
Oh,
but
fascinating. Cool.
And I love the lever that is now. Okay, I want to point out something. We'll see here when he has a seat. Like I said earlier, that's a barber chair.
Yeah, but it's, oh my God, I love that plush.
I know the red velvet.
Yeah. It's a comfy chair.
Now,
Because if you're going
the
to travel
reason-
through time, you might as well do it in style.
yes, and he pulls out the handle, and as you can see, it looks like it needs a little bit of adjusting, so he's going to buffer on it a little bit, and then he puts it back in place. That comes into play later. And here's where he starts to turn it on. He doesn't waste any time, which I like.
All right, you guys travel through time. I must excuse myself for just one moment. I'll see you in the
All
future.
right. So here's where you see push the lever forward very slowly. And the wheel starts to turn. Now, here's what I want to point out, the colors. Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale, when they made Back to the Future, like I said, they were heavily influenced by this movie. So if you go back and watch Back to the Future, when you look at the control console in the dash of the DeLorean, it's the exact same colors. So when you see Doc Brown setting it for 1955, you're going to see those same colors, except it's just digital is the only difference because it was made in the 80s.
Cool. I guess I never noticed that.
And here's where at first he didn't think anything changed at all, but then he noticed that the clock is moved by a few hours and that the candles burned down. And he checks his watch, and of course, since his watch was with him on the machine, the time has not changed for him. Now he's excited, and now he starts to watch everything as it goes forward in time. This is the sequence that helped the movie win the Academy Award. By the way,
so good with the candle, and it's such a quick, an instant start, like the candle, the flowers, the panning of the sunshine, the sundial, everything about this.
Yeah, and the sun. I liked how the sun was constantly changing colors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for the seasons, it was perfect. Yes. And he sees Philby's department store across the street.
Yeah, then
And
he kept watching the mannequin. That was his focus point.
Right, which is great because that gave him an idea of how things on the outside were changing. Because obviously nothing in the room was changing once he starts going through the years. So it was great to have that window out there because it gave him an idea of how the human civilization changed. The way women, he even says that, I'm surprised women wear that kind of dress. Because obviously,
in the words of Cole Porter, in days of old, a glimpse of stocking was looked on as something shocking. Now heaven knows.
Right, exactly. See, this is before they had skirts, especially mini skirts.
Yeah,
women would have not have showed her legs at all. No way. That would have been shocking back then. You would have been considered, to put it nicely, a woman of the evening.
Oh wow, that is putting it nicely. But I do, I love the shots of the sky and the transitions of weather and season. I think, and the joy that Rod Taylor is showing in his awe. I think it's a really good performance. I love the dials, and it's like, okay, this is where we are, or when we are. Pardon me. This is great. I love this, and the Technicolor of the situation, because this was a colorful spectacle. A special effects science fiction spectacle. This is what it was in the day.
Yes, and I still prefer the older film stock that they used back then for this and the stuff they use now. I don't like the stuff they use now. They usually wash out a lot of the colors and it looks bland. I love the saturated colors, the bright reds.
Sure,
we don't get that anymore. It just seems like everything's gray or blue or orange. I don't know.
And even if it is bright and colorful, you have to suspend your disbelief because you know it was made on a computer. It's a computer graphic, whereas this is practical and beautiful.
Yes. And what you're looking at here is a painting. Believe it or not, that's actually not.
Get out of here.
And apples. Yes, it's a painting.
That's awesome.
And the guy had to paint it frame by frame to make it look realistic as possible, he was told. So, yes.
Success.
14 years have passed. 15, 16. 1917 stopped. So he remember now he left in 1899 and now he's in 1917. And he decides to take a look around.
This will be a good year. Oh, I want to. Oh, I have two.
I
He
remember-
sure seems to pick some odd years to stop at.
I don't
True.
know. 17's his favorite. Is it a prime number? He's a mathematician.
No, something caught his eye.
The boards of his lab were suddenly the boards appeared in front of the windows and it was boarded up. That's what made him stop.
Oh, okay.
And now this is what the scene. Now remember, we saw this at the beginning of the movie when the horse and carriage passed by. So now this is the same scene, but in 1917. And we have a soldier on the lifting uniform, which as we'll find out here, they're at war. And this is his first time seeing a car. So he doesn't really know what to make of it. And he sees this guy and he even calls him. He says, Philby, and the guy does not recognize him. Are you going to a masquerade party? Because he doesn't understand about the uniform. And of course, this gentleman is confused. And he says, you're confusing me with my father. So he says his name is James. So this is the son of his friend Philby. And Philby mentioned him in his study where he said, why don't you come home and visit the wife and little Jamie. So that's now Jamie grown up. And he's taken over ownership of Philby's department store. And he explains that his father was killed in the war.
Now I got a question. What would they really take someone that old for put him out on the front lines of the war?
Absolutely.
They that desperate?
Well, we don't know if he's on the front lines, but yes, when it gets to war, the first thing they do is they go through the young ones and obviously the physically able. But then if they get more desperate, they're going to start pulling anybody and everybody. So they're going to start pulling children like they did in the Civil War, and they'll start pulling older people like they did in the Civil War. And so he's referring to his dad died in World War I. Probably the trenches is what I'm guessing. So this explains why the house is still there. So that's one thing too. Even as a kid, I wondered, well, this is 17 years after he's gone. Why didn't they sell the house, tear the house down, something? But he says his father was the executor of the estate and refused to liquidate it. So that's the reason why the house was kept in that condition. Because he says that his father always thought that his friend would come back.
Well, technically he did.
He did. Right, because Philby eventually believed him, obviously, since he just disappeared, right? And he says he's just a stranger who once knew your father. And he says, have you been to the front? And he says, what front? He doesn't know about, the Russian front.
Well, it'd be the Western Front.
German front. World War I, sorry.
Yeah, it'd be Western Front. Germany had the Eastern and Western fronts there, and they're there because they were stupid, but that's a whole different song. You get into a different time.
Correct. And now James Philby went back into the department store, a little bewildered. George is melancholy and sad because he just found out that his friend died in the war. And he knows there's nothing here for him. And he almost gets hit by a car because he's so distracted. And he returns back to his lab. And he starts tearing down the board so he can keep an eye on that department store across the street. Time to move forward. And then what happens is the ship starts as he's moving forward, the time machine starts rocking and he hears noise. And that's why he says at first he thought the machine had a mechanical defect. But once he comes to a stop, he realizes it's actually a war and bombs going off.
Yeah.
So now he's in World War II.
Yeah, then you could tell which is stock footage and what was real footage.
Correct. Well, yeah, they do show and it's always airplanes.
Yeah, at first he thought it was the same war, then he realized it's a whole different war.
Right, like this is not stock footage. So they actually filmed miniatures for this. This is a scene for the movie, which is not stock footage, which I thought was really cool.
I thought it was stock footage, just how grainy it got.
This is the stock footage, but that is not.
Okay.
It's actually a composite. It's a painting on a composite with a matte painting. Oh, very cool. Oh, by the way, he escapes just in time before his house gets destroyed. Because as he's standing there watching, suddenly the bomb approaches and strikes the house, and he hurt and hits the lever forward. And he moves forward, and he sees progress outside and things changing. 1960s, of course. Where he stops again in the 60s, and he hears the air raid sirens, and people are running for shelter. And I'm going to point out something here, really, if we can get a good look at it. Oh, wait, that little girl right there that you see, she drops a toy. And the toy actually is, for us old in the audience, Woody Woodpecker. Because George Powell, the director, was good friends with Walter Lantz, the creator of Woody Woodpecker.
Now, is it just me, or does anybody else like love the sound of the old air raid sirens? But of course, I never had to go. I never had to
my
go.
ringtone.
Of course, I never had to go through an air raid. So,
well, when I
What, you don't,
when I was in California,
did you get tornadoes? Sorry,
yeah,
Bob.
but ours is one.
Same deal.
Ours is just one constant. Instead of the up, down, up, down, up, down.
Sounds like my
There's
wife. Just kidding.
Hey-o. Well, it sounds like other things: up, down, up, down, up, down. Anyways,
Left, right, select, start.
that's
I'm
right.
trying to-
Get that 30 life code.
I didn't get the AV. I forgot the AV.
Oh,
Trying to get
damn it.
I'm trying to get a good view of some of the uniforms on these guys. If you'll
Well, I
see,
think Isn't
Go
it
ahead,
just
Scotty.
generic futuristic? Like, and I think that that's one of the things that the movie does is that it's an allegorical. It's based on the time that George comes from. It's not based on our, like, it comments on our times and how times have progressed, but it's not specific. It's not actually us.
correct.
And I think
Now,
that
there
that's
it
an
is.
interesting stylistic choice. Yes, she's very attractive. Thank you for pointing her out.
Right.
I enjoy his helmet.
The guy in the middle, do you recognize his outfit?
Yeah. Oh yeah, look, it's Forbidden Planet, yo.
Yes.
No, I
leftover
see
feet,
that.
Right.
No, that's generic. I've seen it in multiple TV movies and stuff. I can't remember which
That's
one.
very possible, but it was made for Forbidden Planet, and that's where it was first seen.
Yeah,
See,
that's
that's-
for sure a Forbidden Planet uniform.
Yes, the crew member aboard the flying saucer.
Yes. Good call. Good catch.
I'm
Good
still pretty
observation.
sure I've seen it other places too.
Of course.
That
Namely, the
staircase-
time machine.
Right, and we'll be saying that staircase a lot in this movie. That's actually a famous MGM staircase. It was built in the 40s, and for a movie, which I don't remember up top of my head the name of the movie, but it was going to be
Is it
torn
like a
down
sunset?
after the...
Is this a Sunset Boulevard or no?
No, that was 50s or 60s when Sunset Boulevard was made. But they were going to tear it down after the movie that it was used for, and they decided to hold on to it and keep it. So, like I said earlier, all this is filmed on the MGM lot. So that staircase is not only is it used here, but it's used in a lot of future movies and TV shows, including Burgess Meredith sitting on it in Time Enough at Last.
Oh. Famous Twilight Zone episode.
Yes. And here's where that's why this explains why the sundial is still there and the park. So Philby, his friend Philby, who passed away during the war, dedicated the park to him.
Doesn't he meet Philby's son? Oh, that's
Yes.
not yet.
He
Yeah, he
did.
did. He already did.
Oh, my mistake. I'm sorry. I
And
missed that part of the
That's
past.
okay.
Hey,
That's all right. He stopped in 1917. He met Philby's
Yep.
son, and then he went forward to the future. Now he's in 1942.
and he's
All
gonna
right.
meet him again.
Yes.
There's going to be a Philby the third.
And he's never
No,
seen an
it's
electric
the same
razor before, so he picks up an electric razor. At least he
They're just
figures out
giving
pretty
them
quick what it's
away.
for. And there we go with Philby. James Philby, the son.
Oh yeah,
What?
in his nuclear suit.
Nuclear suit, right? But I like the padding to make him look like an old man. I like that attention to detail, and the makeup
Well,
is
and
really well done.
not only that, but the performance. He's doing a good job too.
Yes, he is.
Now, if you're rushing to the air raid siren, you're on your final warning. Would you stop to help drag a person to the air raid shelters?
If you cared enough. But then, just like him, he's going to warn him. But then, if he doesn't, listen to him, he's just going to go by himself, which is what he does.
Yeah,
So-
and the thing is, like Mr. Philby, my mistake. He's not helping. He was stopped by this crazy person wearing formal wear.
Yes. Oh, he even says the problem is George is caught up. As you can see, the store is magnificent. The achievements. George is caught up in the time and how time has changed. But Mr. Philby is trying to say, hey, we've got to run. These are like the last. The sirens are going off. And this is the last time, and we've got to get underground. And of course, George is still talking about technology.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
it's a fascination.
And he doesn't realize like how bad, how much, like how advanced our war capabilities have become. You know, that's the only time technology advances. It seems like is in finding more efficient ways to kill each other.
Pretty much. And Philby said the mushrooms will be sprouting, and George doesn't know what he's talking about.
And I think that's one of the benefits. And I know you don't like the crappy 2002 one, and I think that there are many things wrong with it. And primarily when it was released, because it was released shortly after September 11th. And so a lot of mass destruction, like those old disaster movies, they weren't necessarily into those right after that period of time. And one of the things that I liked about that was they had overmined the moon, and so the moon blew up and it crashed into the earth, and that's what caused it. It wasn't humanity killing itself, it was the hubris of mining. And I liked that subtle difference. It would have been great, and it was what you do get to see the moon blow up. That's pretty cool, but it was supposed to be much more extravagant. But unfortunately, the audiences at the time were not in the mood for that particular extravagance.
Well, and it's different because it was trying to. It sounds like they were trying to push what man does to the environment, which that message now we're getting it really hammered repeatedly over and over. That's one of the messages they seem to be pushing on us, and the global warming and all that, which is, as we all know, is BS.
But yeah,
So
but I'm just
that
talking
was
about
the-
in the context of a movie, instead of having everybody kill each other. At least it was that we need more energy so that we can travel out into the stars. Like there was a moon base and everything, and then and it was just like, oh no, we overdid it. We got too zealous, and you could see it as being like an environmental message I'm sure it was. But I still like that one better than the nuclear war of this. And in the book, it is war that is the decimation of humanity.
Yes, and the point is the weapons are just getting more and more powerful.
Yes, that is the point of the book.
Yeah, more efficient ways to kill. So this is where Philby recognizes George, and he says, "Indeed, Mr. Philby." Yeah, he's James Philby says, "Haven't we met before?" But like he wasn't sure. And then George says, "Yes, indeed, we have, Mr. Philby, right here many years ago." And that's when Philby does start to recognize him. And he remembers. He says, "The time escapes me," and then he says, "But your clothes are exact same. You look the exact same." And George says, "It was 2 wars ago, 1917."
2 wars ago.
I'm surprised he didn't have a heart attack. Like, I bet you not. It's been written nowadays. Who've had like a shock heart attack from seeing him.
Well, hopefully not. I'm sure that would really make him feel bad. I'm talking about George. I'm sure he'd feel bad if he caused the death of James Philby.
Well, and this is the thing, is that this is the part of the story where we sort of lose touch with humanity. Once we lose Philby's son, he doesn't really meet anybody else that he has any connection to whatsoever. It's all just new people.
Oh yeah, yes, exactly. And because so much time passes.
Yeah. Oh, of course, yes. Doesn't he fall asleep? A rock hits him.
No.
Well, it's similar. They'll show something different, kind of. But I think I want to point this out. I think this is a great combination of set, miniature, and
Yes.
matte painting.
Absolutely. That's incredible. Those matte paintings in the background, those are, yeah, absolutely fantastic. The choice of car.
Oh yes, I agree. And here's something I want to point out too that it's unusual, but I noticed while watching this, I did not notice as a kid because it was not high definition. So I remember as a kid watching this clip right here specifically, and I was thinking, well, what is he looking at? Because he was reacting to something, and I wasn't sure what it was. But in the high definition version, you can actually see the satellite up in the sky into the frame, going from left to right. Let's see if I can catch it. Nope. Let me go back a little bit here. I don't know if I'll be able to catch it without getting flagged here, but
It's an easy fight because we're actually discussing this, and I think it'd be an easy thing to argue.
Oh, that's glorious. Oh, the destruction, the terror. Oh, I love it. Because it is, again, he's a time traveler. He gets to see it, and then he's like, I got to get out of here. And he can.
yes.
Yeah, the dude outruns a nuke and people, anyways.
And, well, everybody.
Well, he should have been dead because if you're close enough to see the Flash, he wasn't in the
Automatic
time
death.
machine. He should have been dead.
That's right. I'm going to be the one doing the automatic F today.
Well, hold on. Depends on your distance. Now, the brightness would cause blindness, but radiation not necessarily would hit you yet, unless it depends on how far you are away from the blast.
And I hate to be the guy who wants to live in a Pollyanna cuddle world, but like we are talking about a time travel movie, the actual science of nuclear blasts don't interest me because this guy is a time traveler.
True. And I want to mention the lava is made out of oatmeal.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
Yes, with food dye put in there. So they had a little bit of red and blue food dye.
That's crazy. That's insane. That's amazing. I love the oh man, that looks like life size. Oh, that's great. See, this isn't commentary. This is me just gushing about the gushing.
Here's where he escaped just in time, and as you can see, a mountain begins to form around him.
Does he like get hit by, oh, and it gets incredibly cold. I remember that. That
right.
was
Which makes sense because honestly, I used to go cave diving in lava caves, and they are cold. They average about 30-something degrees down there.
Like and then he goes, the sun is blocked out, and it isn't until thousands, if not millions of years of erosion. Thousands.
Yeah, because he goes to the year 800,000.
Right. Hundreds, dozens of years. And he just sits there and wait. And then the erosion happens, and he's like, okay, now things are better.
This is where the imagination really springs because it's so far in the future.
Yes.
It's like, okay, what could he possibly see at this point? So everything erodes around him, and he's back in the clear. And this is obviously, I mentioned it in previous streams, and I hate to point it out, I'm not nitpicking. This is what blue screen looks like, the effects of blue screen. So he's in front of a blue screen, and how can I tell? Because you can see the blue line around him, around the silhouette. This is the reason why. That's why they invented green screen, by the way.
Well, no, but it's also interesting that they didn't do rear projection.
Yeah, they could have.
Which would have been better because they used to use that for like car chases in James Bond movies, and it would have looked better than the blue screen here. Maybe they were just trying to like flex their capabilities.
Well, here's the difference. As you know, that if the difference between rear screen and blue screen, rear screen, it's not as bright, and you won't catch as much of the detail.
Oh, okay.
Because this is as good as like looking directly at the painting or whatever's going on in the background. That's why a lot of times when they did use reverse rear projection, it was like people driving cars and it was a window behind them where you see the street in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that where you weren't really focusing on the detail. But like I said, this is what inspired green screen. And now with green screen, it looks much better. You don't get that telltale line around them. He's watching everything change, and of course, he's still going full speed ahead into the future. And as he
Well, he's
does it,
waiting until it gets good.
well, yeah, I guess he wants to see something exciting, and he doesn't notice, but these blocks appear behind him.
Oh, the wall.
There he is. There's the year.
8.
And he comes to a stop, and unfortunately, he hits the brakes, and the time machine was not expecting him to stop so suddenly.
Well, and I suppose, you got to do your speed tests. You can't necessarily just figure it's gonna. I don't want to anthropomorphize the time machine at this particular instance. I just want to. Oh no, it's Zardoz. But anyway, I like he was going full tilt boogie, and he was like, okay, stop. And it's like, hang on, you have no idea how to work this.
Right,
You've never gone at this speed through time before.
Correct.
You can't just slam on the emergency brake.
Right, it's all
Oh,
trial
do you know
and
that?
error.
Do you have a time machine? Gee, Scotty. I know. Sorry.
Well, no, I'm
not to rudely interrupt, but I wanted to interrupt because there are a bunch of chats.
Nemesis of Eden, I'm
Good idea.
merely pointing out that based on the sudden stop of this time machine, that I would never do it myself if I ever acquired one.
Gorilla, you there? Oh, we
Gorilla
lost
is
Gorilla.
not here.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. There we go. I was wondering why I got quiet.
That's my cue, I guess. Okay. Ola Greg says, I have a Morlock's nest, so I have more actual experience with them. Advanced, but very primitive. Melted Copper says, I would just minimally leap to the next day and cash out on Lotto, but not much would be changed for me to know, nor would the past be changed. Yeah, see, that's what I was talking about. I would get rich with it. So, I would go back, forward, get the numbers, obviously, then go back and then win it. I mean, why not? Melted Copper says he never saw The Watchmen. Dr. Manhattan's dad made clocks. I read the comic, but I did not see the movie because I'm not a fan of Snyder, whatever his first name is. Melted Copper, there are parts of the world where showing ankles is still sexy. Well,
Yeah.
unless they're cankles.
Canada.
Right. And as long as they don't have hair on them. Ola Greg says atomic attack. Yes, this is when they still call things atomic. Ola Greg said they should have voted for Trump. Oh, well.
Yeah.
That's true, right?
The Morlocks did.
Yes, they did. Ola Greg says Mama Earth is grumpy. Yes. Well,
True.
because in the end, it'll be Mama Earth and we'll be gone. Melted Copper says this is much better blue screen. It's like a quality real film now. Yes, I agree with that. Ola Greg says nice writing. Sealing him in rock saves lots of money, but watching fashion change was really cool. Yes, I totally agree. And I heard, Gorilla's back. Are you there, Gorilla?
Yeah,
You okay?
yeah.
Okay, here I am in the chat. Would you like to pick up where I left off? No, I'm going to cough a minute and clear my throat.
Nice writing. We already heard that. We are the Morlocks, and that's all.
We are the E.
Oh, perfect. All right, then. Here we go.
Walks.
Without further ado. So he does bang on that big double doors, and there's just an echoing sound. Nobody answers, of course.
Jabba-Jinky.
Notice he takes out the control knob, which is a good idea because that's basically like the key to the machine.
Yes. And which I really like. I like that as a thing. That he does have the it's not a MacGuffin. It is the keys to the machine.
Exactly, and it's smart because anybody can come along and just not understanding what the thing is could push the lever, and then he's going to be stuck wherever he's at, right?
Yep.
And a lot of used props from sets from other things, of course. So it helped them save a lot of money on budget. So that's good, even though it looks really amazing.
Well, and I do like his sort of, and you get to follow his transformation as a character as his sort of prim and proper Victorian garb is sort of more adventured away. Like I do enjoy the weathering on George.
I agree too. Yeah, and like you said, the arc of the character is amazing. And here we are with the MGM steps again. And like I said, once you see these steps and remember these steps, you're going to start noticing these in a lot of older shows and movies.
I feel like this is, Logan's Run.
I see Logan's Run again. I wouldn't be surprised if the steps are the same. And obviously, the lower half is a set, top half matte painting, and it's where the painting divides from the actual set is where that line goes halfway through. You see
That's
that
crazy
line where it
cool.
goes halfway through the door. That's where the matte painting separates from the set.
Fascinating.
But I thought
Those
it was a
giant-
great set too. It's like everything being huge like that. That had to be pricey.
Well, as you said, like there is some camera magic that happens with it, but those doors.
That would make me think of are there giants around here? What's the size of those doors? But oh well. Don't want to get too far because there are no giants in this movie, so don't misunderstand what I'm saying.
But the thing, no, but what I would consider as being a man of George's time, I would be like, oh wow, this must be where the important people are supposed to be because they have such big doors. Like,
True.
18th
But yeah,
century
well,
people, they love big doors.
You're right. It looks like at one time, in fact, he mentioned that in the movie, that it looks like at one time that may have been a very important place.
Hmm.
But now that the ceiling is destroyed, he knows that whatever it was is no longer there.
And now he meets the simpleton child people.
Right now we meet the Eloy.
Well, I didn't like these people.
Why is
Because
that?
they're simpleton children.
Yeah, well, and that therein lies a lot of issues with him trying to hook up with a simpleton child, beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Man, oh, okay.
If you
Well,
want, okay, yes.
I agree. It's almost like he's taking advantage of it, and it's
Yes.
not the only time we're going to see this in a movie or a TV show.
Planet of
Well,
the Apes, yo.
It was an original story, and a lot of time romance. There's just so many stories where it's going to be part of it, and there's a lot of stories where it's not. Like War of the Worlds was not about romance.
Well, but
So-
can you? And I'm asking as a preemptive request, but like, can you sort of dismiss that and say that there is something engaging about a story that is told with a damsel in distress? Whether you feel that a damsel in distress is a negative thing or whatnot, don't you like it when the hero hooks up with a lover? Like it's kind of good. It's engaging storytelling. You feel good for the main character and everything like that. And so
Yeah, and I think that's
maybe she got hit in the head with a crane hook as a child, but at least these two found love.
Yeah, but
I
what,
think that-
but
go
with
ahead,
her, there, that's a borderline illegal now. Nowadays, is how vulnerable she is.
Well, I'll
Society's
explain that.
collapsed, man.
I think that the connection he has with her is because he saves her life.
Yes.
Because as we see here, the rest of the people are standing around as she's drowning, and they don't understand because they've never been in a self-sacrifice position before. They don't know better.
Yeah.
So, and they're going to explain more of the reason why they act like this. So they're basically acting like cows in a way.
When
And
people
something I
die,
want-
they just die.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
first time I seen this scene though, I was like, "Huh, it's modern day, except nobody has just has all their phones out filming
Exactly.
it."
We're right. And these days, right, nobody would want to touch her or she'd sue them saying that they were trying to molest her. So
Well,
yeah, these days,
man.
men don't say women anymore
Well,
either
well,
for that reason.
Well, that part I wasn't even talking about. I seen a video of a guy who collapsed and fell onto the tracks, and everybody just pulled out their phones and started filming it. Well,
Oh, yeah.
only one person jumped out on the tracks and tried pulling him out. And finally starts out, "Is anybody gonna help me here? Anybody gonna help?" Finally, someone reached out their hand to pull him up, but the guy almost got ran over by a train because everybody
It is.
decided to work their phones out and film it
Yep.
instead of jumping down and helping him.
There was a guy.
That's your standard human protocol, though, right? Like, if there's a group of people, everyone's just going to stand and watch. No one's going to help. No one's going to interact.
There was a guy, a homeless guy on the Oakland train station that started beating up an old lady. He grabbed her cane away from her and started beating her with it. And whatever you do, stand around. But like I said, these days with women crying, abuse and rape and all this stuff, men are afraid to help them. So it's a fact that the statistics, for example, that more women are dying from choking on food because now they say in a restaurant when a woman begins choking, there is no man that's going to walk up and try to give her the Heimlich maneuver anymore because they know that Doesn't matter what happens, he's going to end up in jail. He's going to be Me Too to oblivion, and that is a fact, and that is another reason why men are afraid to even help women. I mentioned that in my last stream. There was a video last week, I think it was last week on either YouTube or Twitter, where a man was at a gas station and a woman runs up to him. He was pumping gas. A woman runs up to him and says, help me, I'm being kidnapped. And he just stands there. And then a guy comes up and grabs her and throws her over his shoulder and runs away. And the guy is still pumping his gas and doing nothing. And I was thinking that would be me. I wouldn't touch it. I mean, normally in the old days, yes, I would jump to her rescue. But no, I'm not going to touch her because the next thing you know, I'll find out it's her boyfriend and they're going to both press charges against me. So no, I can completely understand both sides of that. I don't understand the people that stand around with their phones, though. That is complete ignorance. But they all want to go viral. They don't care, unfortunately. So he's yelling at the Eloy, all the people. He doesn't know they're Eloy yet. But he goes, why don't you guys do something? You know, somebody get in a saber. And, of course, they don't understand what he's even talking about. Fortunately, they know English, so they have kept the language somewhat. So he jumps in a saber.
Do you think that was for plot convenience, or did English survive that long?
Well, apparently, he happens. English survived long. They don't explain that. Honestly, these people, it would be more. I don't want to give away too much, but it would be more like Planet of the Apes. They would probably be dumb completely, and they wouldn't know any language at all. But for the convenience of a 1960 movie, they happen to know English. And we get introduced to Yvette Mimieux, whatever. And I want to explain something. During the filming of this movie, when they first started filming, she was actually underaged. She was 17. She turned 18 during the filming. She was also a new star. By the way, this is her very first role. So they hired her. They started filming the movie when she was 17. During the filming, she turned 18. And they said her acting got better and better and better. That by the time they got to the end of the movie, they went back and reshot the earlier scenes where her acting wasn't quite up to par.
And hey, PvP.
Hey, Gorilla.
PvP, hello. Good to see
Hey,
you,
Pop.
PvP.
Hey, everybody.
I was
Scotty,
right, PvP. I was right,
Daniel,
PvP.
Nemesis.
Yeah, PvP, I was right. The other night you said you'd be about an hour late. I said, well, that's fine. You'll probably be about halfway through the movie. And we were right about on the halfway mark.
Yeah, I got just at when it's starting to get really interesting at this point. I mean, not that the first half isn't great, but it has a lot of setup, right, to get the movie rolling along. So this is when it starts to get kind of entertaining and exciting at this point.
There are the steps.
There's the steps, and they hear a horn, which
Hey,
signals them
PvP.
to go and eat.
Hello.
And he's running where they're going, of course, so he just follows them, and he sits there.
I gotta say, Yvette Mimieux was a total gorgeous babe. I mean, damn.
She was, yeah.
Girl.
Hot take.
This is Rod Taylor's first starring role.
Really?
He had been in things before,
Wow.
but not as a star. This is the first time. And
So
not the
both of
last time.
So both of them, it's kind of their first major movie then.
Yes. Well, he did, like I said,
Cool.
for her, it was her movie at period. It's her very first movie. But
Did
he
you-
was in other
Pre the
movies.
birds. This is pre the birds.
Pre the Birds, yes.
But she is gorgeous and ween.
Feel like she knows her name.
Okay, is that where the band took their name from? I'm just curious. I
Can
doubt
you
it,
send
but-
me that screenshot? I want that to be my profile picture.
So she knows her name, but when he spells it out, she doesn't understand English or writing, so they are borderline illiterate.
Yeah. They don't even understand these markings that are
Well,
words.
at this point, their society is probably been so long since they had any kind of educational system in existence. It's no wonder they're kind of ignorant, right? I mean,
Well,
you're not
for a reason.
born educated. You have to learn things, right? And
Well,
they
and
got
also-
nobody to learn from.
But we're
At
gonna
the-
learn. We're gonna learn why they're not educated. There's a reason why.
Oh,
At
yes.
this point, George thinks that he's found the utopia of man.
Yes.
Well, he'll find out soon enough.
But this is what he's been looking for the entire time. I want to go past these petty differences that we have on Earth and get to a place of utopia. And he thinks he found it.
Well, I guess it looks like endless leisure and free food, so that's a pretty good deal too, right, Scotty? So I
Yep.
can see why he's thinking that at the start here when he first arrives.
Of course, he just keeps asking them questions, and they don't understand why. They
Nope.
don't know the answers, and they don't know. They're not used to even asking questions. They ask, "Don't you even have books?" And they say, "Yes, we have books." But I
This is my
see that.
favorite, one of my favorite scenes in the whole film.
So he's excited at first when he sees the books, until he pulls them out and sees the condition that they're in. And unfortunately, extremely deteriorated. Yes, they
Yeah, I
do
think
tell
it,
me all
I
about
think
it.
it,
That's a good
I think,
line right there.
yeah, that is a
Go
great
ahead.
line, actually. Got
Go
me
ahead,
thinking.
PvP.
I was just going to say, I think the book eventually does crumble into dust in his hands as he examines it. Yeah, there we go. Basically, it's gone with the
And he's
knowledge.
upset. Now he's upset, of course, and he's yelling at this poor guy, saying thousands of years, and you guys are stupid, pretty much. But then it's not that guy's fault. The guy doesn't understand what he's talking about,
They've
which he
probably
does
been,
realize.
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
But he does realize that, and he stops yelling at him.
Well, they've
But now
probably
he
been
goes
dumb.
and yells at them all.
They've probably been dumb for generations, I'm guessing.
Yes. And it's nighttime, and he wants to go back to his machine, and she warns him, "You don't want to be out at night."
Huh.
And now he goes to his machine to find out it's not there, and that it's been drug into the Sphinx. So there's the footprints and the path leading up to the Sphinx, those double doors that he was banging on earlier. And he's banging on again. He uses a rock, which doesn't do any good.
Did you guys talk about why the time machine was basically designed like a sled with like runners under it? I'm not sure if anybody's mentioned
Well,
it.
go ahead, and if there's anything you want to share, go for it. I mean, we're
No,
not.
I'm
We don't.
just I was just asking. Like I can't remember anything particular in the film as to why he designed it that way. But maybe I
George
missed
Powell, the
something.
director. George Powell, the director. A sleigh was his
Sleigh.
favorite. Yes, it was his favorite toy as a child.
Oh,
So that
okay.
was an influence from the director George Powell.
Great. Okay, that makes some sense then. Okay.
And the time machine was, because you weren't here at PvP, was designed by Hua Cheng, the same guy that did Star Trek phasers, communicators, and tricorder.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I always did love the design of the time machine in this film, though. I think it's just spectacular.
Yeah, me too. This steampunk, the Jules Verne look, I love it.
Yeah.
Always wanted a copy, like a little model of it.
Oh, they never did make models of it, did they? I don't think.
I've seen some people that have, and you can find them. They're expensive on eBay. I don't know if they ever made any where the wheel spins or not. I always wanted one of those where you turn the lever, or you push the lever and the wheel spins.
That would be awesome. I wonder, though, I'm thinking maybe those are like off-market kits that, talented amateur people have built and designed, because I know folks do that online.
Yeah,
'Cause there
Etsy is
are,
Etsy's a good place that sells that kind of stuff. But no, they've had it. They've been more over the years. They have sold them.
Oh, really? So there were official time machine kits. Oh, I never knew that.
Correct.
Cool.
I
So
think
he's
the
Go ahead.
only time I ever actually enjoyed an episode of The Big Bang Theory is when they got a replica of the time machine.
That's exactly right,
Oh,
because Bob
that was
Burns,
good.
Bob Burns, the owner at the time, would not let them use the original because it was a part of his museum. So he said no. So they had to make a replica for that show.
But it was a really good replica, and that was the last time that I liked The Big Bang
But
Theory.
the-
And that's like episode 1 or season 1, episode 6 or something.
The thing about that episode too, Scotty, I love is the ending with the time machine. That's
It goes
hilarious.
away.
It's hilarious. I love that ending.
So that was the last. Yes. Like, this is an influential science fiction film. It's
It should
so
be.
good.
So we kind of missed it here, but she was helping him collect wood for the fire, and she's never seen a fire before. But he tells her to collect sticks because they're going to build a fire. And as she's doing that, and he's talking about time and the machine, she's pulled into the bushes, and he goes in there and fights whatever it is that it's hidden in the bushes. We don't quite see it yet. Fights whatever it is, saves her, and pulls her back out. And then this is why he asked her, was that a Morlock? And she says, yes. So he says, well, let's get this fire started. That seems to scare them off. I guess kind of like animals.
Yes.
And she
And
almost
again,
sticks her hand in the fire, and he says, "What are you doing?" And she had never seen it before.
we lose the jacket. We're straight to vest now. He's getting more adventurer as we progress through the film, which I enjoy.
Yes,
I think it wasn't just an animal fear of fire that the Morlocks had, though. It was probably their eyesight was very sensitive,
it
being
is.
underground creatures most of their lives.
Yes, they will show that. So here's where we have where this is the next day, and he's going to look for his machine. So he starts to walk around the side of the Sphinx, and that's where he sees these wells.
Hmm.
And as he gets closer, he starts to hear machines, the beating of machines running. That's why he tells her to listen. So he tells her he's gonna. Oh, let me go back here. We're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. That statue on the right was from Cleopatra. The machine on the left that he's bending over was from Forbidden Planet. So was that globe on the right. That was their navigational device in the center of the flying saucer on Forbidden Planet.
It does look familiar, actually, now that you mention
A
it.
lot of those gadgets were from prior movies and stuff.
Cool.
So she tells him about the talking rings because he says there's no books. She says no, but there are rings that talk. So she takes him there. It was not in the book. This was added for the movie.
And I like this scene. This is one of the scenes where I'm just like, oh, this is like magic.
But here
Yeah.
I was thinking it was crappy technology there because it only works if the ring is spinning, so you can't put that long of a message on there. And if you can't spin the ring worth of crap, you're not going to get the message.
No, but what's good about it is it's not like a record or a tape player or a DVD or a Blu-ray. It's something that will last for thousands of years, and all someone has to do is figure out to spin it. So
Well,
it has
yeah.
its own power source, and
It's-
if you have enough brains to spin it, it will talk to you.
And it's
ahead,
probably
Bill.
made out of some really strong metallic alloy, I'm guessing, that will last for thousands of years.
And it might have technology within it built inside.
I just think it looks really cool, though, when it's spinning. It's like, what a great idea. Like, very original. I've never seen anything like that in any other sci-fi movie.
I agree,
Oh,
but
what
it
kind of
reminds
war-
me. Go ahead.
What war are they talking? Are they talking about the Cold War?
No. Now he's talking about 326 years. So he's talking about way in our future, way past us after we're dead.
Yeah, well, that war lasted for 326 years.
Right. Well, but it was still thousands of years in our future. So it was the story. It was the war that ended it all, and that's now why we have the Eloi. So we're assuming that was the last intelligent technological race that is gone, and he kind of laments that, and that's why he realizes that's why nobody reads books. They don't have any skills. But he knows those rings were obviously made by somebody who was intelligent. And by the way, the voice of the ring, I don't know what the rings, or at least one of them, I don't know if you guys recognize it, by Paul Frees. And he did a lot of, he plays Tony the Tiger
Oh, wow.
on the, whatever that serial was. And he's also, if anybody's ever been to Disneyland, the Haunted Mansion, he does the voice of all that stuff. He did a lot of Disney stuff.
Oh, crazy! Okay. We also do have a bunch of chats too.
Thank you for reminding me. Gorilla, you there? Would you want to help me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you.
Dollar Greg says this movie is missing one thing: a giant spider. Dollar Greg,
well.
you are obsessed with that spider.
Ola Greg.
I don't get the reference. What's the reference?
Yeah, what is it? And Ola Greg.
Gilligan's Island.
Oh, Gilligan's Island. Okay. Well, we will see that soon on Lost in Space. In fact, the very same spider. Stay tuned Monday, and you won't be surprised. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
Those Copper said the music is definitely getting rowdy, Meyer, trumpets, and tubas. They said, I like my heroes to have no love life and stuck in the friend zone like me. You reach too high and it gets sad. And welcome, Mr. CCDV.
Hail, Mr. CCTV.
He
Good to see
says,
you.
I'm
Hail.
in Eli. All I do is what is pleasurable to me.
There you go. That's a good way to be your motto.
Then he says, Ween. And they're saying hi. Him and Beltrix are saying hi to each other. Then Beltrix says the director loves Citizen Kane. This is why Rosebud was important and how King get rich. Then Copper says, "Where is Sonic to collect those rings?"
I don't know.
You get the reference?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now notice the
I
rings.
also get the reference.
Right. Notice the rings. They don't
What
say
is
this
Sonic the Hedgehog? Explain it to me.
Right.
Well,
No,
you
I'm
just have
joking. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I was trying to stay on point. I'm sorry. But
No,
notice
and I
how
was-
the rings don't say, this is John Smith or whatever. But I like how it says my name is of no consequence. Because they know that these are stories for the entire history and for the future, and that somebody in the future who listens to this doesn't care what the name is. It's not going to mean anything to them.
Well, they
Well,
know they've probably been dead for thousands of years when
I'd
somebody
almost-
plays this, right? So
I
Yes.
almost wouldn't have even pointed that out because you're limited on how much you can record. So I wouldn't have even put that my name is no consequence just to save, so I could add more of that.
Well, you could, but then that may have been for us, the audience, because in case somebody in the audience is wondering, why don't they say the names? It's kind of. I think it's possibly for that. Sometimes a lot of what we get is for the audience. That's why it's good. I'll give you an example. It's good that he's not reading this out of a book because they're not going to film in the movie him just staring at a book and reading this. So I thought this was a good way of explaining what's going on, and that way we can listen to it as he's standing there and learn as he does.
and the thing too, Pop, as we saw in the previous scene, the books, probably the last books were printed so many thousands of years ago, they've probably all turned basically into dust at this point. So
Yes, that was the
makes sense.
remaining of them, right? That those few that were on that shelf that was the end of it.
Hmm.
And the rings proved that they had a technology beyond books. So at some point, those rings were made after the books. Now we're back at the wells, and he tells her he's going to go down and find out what the noise is.
Oh.
And as he does that, these come out of the Sphinx.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
And the siren, now they're the same sirens from the air raid earlier. Same sound.
Hmm.
And of course, like she's being hypnotized, she just suddenly just forgets what she's doing with him, turns around and heads towards the sirens. And when he sees her leave, he calls her and she's ignoring him, so he goes up after her.
Yeah. Well, that would suck being brainwashed to hear the air raid sirens that you all automatically go there.
But they don't hear them. Like what we see here, like with George, is as soon as he gets closer, he physically reacts to it. He has to cover his ears because it hurts so bad, and yet nobody else even registers that it's happening.
Well, wait a minute. They can hear it, but they're used to it, so they're not going to react to it.
Yeah, they've
That's
probably
fair.
they've heard it all their lives, so
Right,
they
they've
are
been
probably
trained
just
to-
accustomed
they've
to
been-
it, right?
Right? They've been trained to, when they hear this, to come. And this, because that's just it. We're getting more and more. They haven't really. They're going to explain a little bit more here, but they basically act like cattle. So if you have cows that are out at pasture, and it's time to feed them, you're going to ring a bell, and they're all trained to come towards the sound of the bell.
Well, I'm guessing there's some frequency to the sound too that triggers something in their brain that is attuned to these sirens.
I don't think it's a frequency I don't think it's a frequency per se, because remember now, the sound and the pitch is the same as the air raid sirens from earlier in the movie. I think they're just trained when they hear the sirens, they need to report to the Sphinx.
But it seems like they're triggered in a way like they totally lose track of whatever they're doing as soon as they hear this, right?
Like an animal.
I would agree with PvP because, like, not only that, but as soon as we see this coming down, it's like a spell is broken. They all kind of like, oh, what am I doing here? What's going on? And
It's
they
like
just wander off.
Well,
It's
it's like
Zardoz or Vol from that
it's
episode.
like they're
The Apple.
entranced. They're entranced by the sound.
Yes. And they're, for those that do not go in the doors, they're surprised, like, what am I doing here? Because they are accustomed to when people go inside the doors, they don't return.
Mm.
So they don't know what's on the other side of the doors, and they don't know what happens after the sirens. Possibly. Could be wrong. So now he's asking, what is wrong? And they're like, what? They're used to it. They don't understand there's any issue. And he's trying to explain to them that there is.
This is
And
the order of
unfortunately,
things.
yes, and unfortunately, Weena was part of that group that went inside. And now he's telling them those sirens are the same, because they told him, what's the matter? It's all clear. And he's trying to tell them that those are the same sirens that have ever since we've been around. But he's trying to say, and the all clear sign is what we used to use, and that no longer applies anymore. He's telling you guys you don't need to listen to that garbage. He doesn't say garbage, but
No. What did he say? Did he say a swear?
No. Oh no, it's rated G.
No, not in a 60s movie this early. That was what, 62 or something?
Yes, and thank God it has class, 1960.
Hey, I still like swears.
And he says, what about the ones who went below and they don't know? Or he's got nothing else to lose. He heads back to the wells.
You know what I wonder, though? It's like, since they're in a trance-like state, when the people ahead of them enter and get locked, locked inside when the doors close, they don't seem to even be maybe aware that some of their number have vanished into this.
They're not.
But
they're not. Right, they're just like cattle. Right.
My question is, though, Pop, you'd think even in their kind of, dumbed down state of existence, they would have some kind of relationships with each other, possibly friendships of some kind. And you'd think if someone they knew vanished all of a sudden, they might start to wonder what happened, but maybe not. Maybe they're just that clueless at this point.
Well, because they were raised like cattle. Like he mentions that they don't have the self-sacrificing initiative. There's a lot of emotions that we normally would have that they don't. The bonding, the social aspects.
So they don't have the strength of will to even form relationships.
Correct. All they know is, I'm guessing they know enough to breed, because obviously, there's more and more of them. But like Weena told him, there's no old ones. So that's why they don't live long enough to become old.
You think that's a genetic thing? Maybe they have a shorter lifespan than previous
humans? I think they're called into the Sphinx. Right. They're called into the Sphinx before they get a chance to get old.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
They everything you guys just said is explained in the movie. Like
that's
yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't seen the movie in a couple of years, so I forget this stuff.
And here's where he says, so this is the destiny of the Eloi, and it's nothing but a bunch of human skeletons laying around.
That's cool.
Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies.
Same here. That's what I was mentioning earlier, Scotty, is Back to the Future would be the only time travel movie that I recommend that was a good movie influenced by this. And it's not a bad movie where it's just like a total ripoff, like the 2002 version, in my opinion.
Well, no, but I agree with you. I think that there is much akin between this film and the Back to the Future movies, just through the character of Doc Brown and his love of H.G. Wells and Jules Verne.
Which he even says the names in the movies, right?
Yeah. And so I think that this is a companion piece in my mind. This is a special feature.
Now I'm trying to catch this, but he's walking around and he's hearing noises. So we see these creatures lurking in the darkness with glowing eyes.
As they do. But they have machinery. Like you see those, like there is machinery here, and so there must be forging of metal.
Yes, they obviously they have experience with metallurgy, but we don't know the extent of their technology. Like, do they have gunpowder, for example? Do they have electricity? I mean, the machines could be ran by steam, so I'm not sure exactly how advanced they are.
Maybe those are noxious gases that escape from the showers in which the Eloi died.
Very possible.
The thing is, though, I mean, it seems the Morlocks have retained some understanding of technology, even if it's, basic, whereas the Eloi have completely lost any knowledge of anything like that. And I find it interesting that the Morlocks being so degenerated in their physical appearance and, basically, being cave dwellers almost, yet they maintain a higher intellect, it seems, than the Eloi have. And I've always kind of wondered about that point. Maybe it's
the separation was
I'm
because
missing,
the separation is the Morlocks are okay. What's the best way to word this? The Morlocks that they sprang from the generations of people who stayed underground when the wars happened.
Oh, okay.
And the Eloi are evolved. That's the word I was trying to think of. And the Elois have evolved from the people who stayed above ground.
Or they've devolved in a
Well,
way.
yeah. Yes. Well, right.
But that makes sense. Thank you, Pop. That's a great point. Yeah, because they were from the generation that still had intelligence and knowledge of things. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Thanks.
Well, like even now with the Facebook guy, whatever, Mark Zuckerberg building that underground, whatever it is in Hawaii. That's a perfect
Yeah.
example. Is we're going to take what technology we have and take it underground, and their attitude is we'll screw everybody up on top. There will be a war, and we'll be fine down below. So that's the reason why the Morlocks have the technology and the Eloi don't.
Gosh, how nice.
It helps when you read the book.
Nice of us
I'll
to
say
do
that.
that, eh?
So here's what
Well,
happens: is now the Eloi are just walking through the caverns, and the Morlocks are whipping them with whips, and he pulls Lena out and saves her, and then one of the other Eloi spots this, and the gentleman runs up to them, and George is basically saying, "Why don't you guys do something to defend yourselves?" And this is where they are listening to him, so he's trying to influence the Morlocks, but they're still or the Eloi, but they're still at the point where they panic and run. And here are the introduced to the Morlocks.
Yeah, the
who
Eloi are allergic to pain.
Yes, they are. Well, so are the Morlocks. And
That's true too. That is true too.
The Morlocks are not used to having somebody fight back. So that's why they're basically all attacking George. And he has a whip, and that's all he has to fight back with. And I want to point out, anybody, if you've seen this movie, all the people hired to play Morlocks were wrestlers. So they were professional wrestlers, and that's why they act the way and move the way they do.
Well, they're pretty big dudes too, so I can understand that.
Yes.
Yeah, but Rod Taylor is an Australian, and so that guy knows how to fight.
I gotta admit, Rod Taylor was a handsome man. He was a great leading man.
Yes,
Definitely.
agreed.
Definitely. Leading man
He
material.
did. He had so many. He had credits in military films. That I just saw one recently where he was defending a train in North Africa. Like there, I've seen so many movies. He was even in a Quentin Tarantino movie. He played
Yes.
Winston Churchill in Inglourious Bastards. He's one of my favorite Australian actors, and I wish
And
he
he-
played James
yes.
Bond.
That's
And he aged
recent. He
aged
would have made
very
a good
well.
Bond, actually.
Right, and he aged very
Back
well.
here,
Even
yeah.
even when he was an older man, he still was really good.
Yeah. So he's
There was a moment where he started to swell, so he got a little chubby in his
A
middle
little well.
age.
well.
Like William Shatner, you know.
he got a little
Sorry.
Patrick McNee, if you'll allow me.
Well, you know, Scotty, we all have birthdays. Hint, hint.
Shame on him for getting old,
yeah,
right?
man. I'm a
So,
skinny
we
middle-aged
do
man.
tend to get a little portly, some of us. In
I
our
am
later
not
days.
one of them. No.
Well,
I
you're
have
not
all
that
my
old
hair,
yet.
and I'm a
You're
thin
not
man.
old yet, though. Give it another 20 years, Scotty.
Yeah, well, in that time, call me.
I'll probably be dead by then, so I probably won't.
I
call
definitely
you.
will be dead.
No!
Yeah,
I
right.
wish to celebrate your 86th birthday.
I'll do like Back to the Future. I'll send a letter and predate it for 20 years from now, Scotty. So
Okay,
I'll send
put a
it to you that way.
DVD in it. Put your
Right,
put a
right, 20
DVD of
years
the
you'll
time
be-
machine in it.
Right, in 20 years, you'll be like, well, I can't find a DVD. That's something from 20 years ago.
Oh, come on, man. I'll absolutely be a curator of physical media until
Right,
the
but
day I
get,
die.
right, but getting your hands on a player is another thing.
Yeah,
you can
that's
load
it.
the DVD as long as you want.
I was going to
No,
say,
I
pack
got
a
one.
player in with
I got
that
two.
DVD so you can
I got
play the darn
3.
thing.
Yeah, no,
Let's
I
see
have
how long
plenty of
people.
players.
Let's see how long people hold on to 8-track players, huh?
Well,
Apparently, some people still listen to them. I don't know why.
there are
but
vinyl fans.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I'm
I knew a
at
guy.
least vinyl sounds better than. I mean, 8-tracks are horrible.
I know. I knew a guy that collected them, and he had like hundreds of 8-tracks, and I was like, huh? But to each their own.
Dude,
So
I got
what I
like
want to point out-
750 DVDs, and I
guys wanna
give
can't
us some
wait to
stats,
put that
or-
on my
Good idea. Yes, and I got to step
on
away,
my profile.
and I need to step away and use the lavatory real quick. I'll be right back.
All right,
Okay.
I'll catch up.
I'm going to take advantage of that myself, so I'll
I'll
step away
catch
too.
up on chat here.
I'm gonna stick around with the chat while everybody else
well-
is in the commode.
Melted Copper says Sonic was a regulation guy bitten by a radioactive hedgehog, thus gaining hedgehog powers.
Yes.
He can run at walls, hit spin webs, and is knit very, very strong. Cool. Scurvy says hey to PvP. Howdy Scurvy says Melted. Yellow Melted. Melted says swear in an old film. Frankly, I don't give a damn.
See, that was a very prolific swear.
That sounds like Gone with the Wind.
It is.
And other Greg says, Eloy are Democrats. I've been refraining from making that joke all night because I did
Why?
not want to bring because it's not my channel.
Oh,
bring
you're not
politics
allowed to talk about your own personal thoughts and feelings on other people's channels.
Well, it's not my channel to bring politics into it. Like if this was on my channel, I will I've been cracking Democrat jokes all night.
That's
You know what?
rumblings from the lab joke time versus
The
here on
Eloy aren't Democrats. They're
God
Canadians.
damn it, Scotty! Shut up!
They're Canadians.
How dare you? Fuck that! We would have all jumped in the river to save that bitch. What are you talking about?
I don't know. I can't skate.
Oh crap, we're outnumbered here on the panel tonight.
Too many Canucks.
There's 4 Canucks and 2 Americans.
Wah, wah.
At least one is in the bathroom.
And other Greg says, "Don't respect my cave." And just wait here. He'll show you what we'll do to your cave. And Melted Copper says, "See, it's okay the whip and to be racist to white people in the future."
It's okay to be racist to white people now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know what? Every morning I wake up and I'm racist to myself.
I'm sexist to myself.
I don't like Jews either.
And other Greg says, "Sleebacks versus Marlocks. Who would win?"
I would say the Sleestacks because they're aliens.
Who are the Sleestacks?
Land of the Lost. That's a very distant reference.
And Melted Copper says, "Clearly Blanca from Street Fighter was a Morlock."
Agreed.
And other Greg says, Dark of the Sun, Great Red Taylor, African train adventure flick."
It was Dark of the Sun, Euler, Greg.
Yeah,
Good
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I recommend any movie with Rod Taylor. I mean, you will not be disappointed.
And other Greg says, "Bloombox with an 8-track player."
Right, the kind they used to carry on their shoulder, right?
Yeah, we're all caught up.
Thank you. So what they're showing here is he lights a match, and it blinds the Morlocks. So, like PvP mentioned earlier, because they live underground, their eyes are very sensitive to light. So that's why he found their weakness basically, and that's pretty much their Achilles heel.
Yeah, if a match makes you see like that, boy, you got weak eyes. For sure.
Well, they've been underground for how many centuries?
Probably thousands of years.
Well, yeah, because you remember they were evolved underground, so most of them never have seen that kind of light. And also, if you remember when people are underground for a long time, like those, remember those coal miners when they get trapped in those? There was what country was that where those young boys were trapped for like a couple weeks underground?
Thailand.
Right, when they came out, they had to put sunglasses on them. Because it was the same problem. Otherwise, they would have went blind immediately.
Yeah, I remember. Wasn't it Argentina where they had one where they were trapped like for a month or two before they finally dug some of the ones that were left alive? They dug
something like that. Yes, it took them a long time. They had to make like an elevator. They had to make like an elevator for one person and bring them out one at a time.
Yes.
They were young, like teenagers.
They were all like psychologically scarred, dealt with trauma for the rest of their lives. Like it was.
So. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
They did make a movie, or two based on that. If you guys are interested in that topic.
Yeah, I remember that was like 20 years ago or something, ages ago now. But yeah, that was a riveting story because nobody thought they were even going to get out alive. Maybe, so
especially the families. Yeah,
it was pretty tense.
All right, let's see. We are at 1 minute and 23 seconds. And this is where my player decides to lie. Oh, there we go. Oh, sorry, my player's acting a little funky, you guys. So there we go. So he's learned that his matches will scare them off temporarily, but of course he's running out of matches. So here they advance on him again once the match burns out.
Yeah. Needs a torch.
He scares them off. And he lights that torch that he made earlier when he first got in there. And of course, the Morlocks are afraid of fire. And by the way, if you ever read the book, this is how they look in the book. which is another reason why I didn't like the remake from 2002. This is how they describe him in the book.
Wow.
I would have wanted to be the one that's getting that torch like flung at him, just because it'd be like, well, if they screw up and misjudge how far they're flicking it, he's flicking it.
Right, and we got our Captain Kirk move.
Awesome.
I like that too. I mean, obviously, like a wrestler, he just picks a guy up and tosses him right, just like a wrestler.
That's a Captain
See, and
Kirk
I have
move,
problems
too.
with this.
Why is that?
Right? Like these dudes are supposed to be like big buff monsters, and he's like picking them up and throwing them, and pretty soon the Eloy are gonna be like pushing them off of the cliff, and I'm just like, fucking really?
Well, I
There's
can
one,
see him
there's
get
one thing
pushed
to
off
keep
the
in
cliff.
mind. There's one thing to keep in mind. They are not used to anybody ever fighting back.
You still think that they would have some sort of physical superiority based on their build?
Well, they're trying to, but he's more agile. I would say agile than they are.
The thing
They
is,
are
too,
trying somewhat, but
the
go
thing is,
ahead,
too, that
Steve.
comes to mind, Nemesis' point is a valid one and a good one, but these guys have been living underground for so long. Maybe they don't get a whole lot of exercise. Maybe they're not as, in good shape as we would think they might be. So just because you're big doesn't mean you're strong, right?
That's
Well,
what
I'm assuming
saying.
they're crawling all over the caves and stuff, though. Like they're jumping around, they're hopping around. That requires muscle.
Well,
Hopping
I don't
around.
know. I don't know. If I had more evidence, I might
Well, if
be
you look at them,
persuaded.
they look, at least by appearances, they look like they're out of shape and chubby.
Well, that's what I thought. They do look a little, chubby. Yeah.
All right, now here's the Eloy watching him. I remember they haven't learned to fight back yet, but by watching them is where by watching George is where they eventually get the initiative.
Yeah.
Yeah, here
And
he goes,
then
50.
there's a good scene coming up soon here.
And here's where Weena tries to run, but then she's grabbed by a Morlock, of course. And he saves her once again and continues fighting. Now, this, as far as story-wise compared to the movie, obviously, this is a lot more action than we got from the story, because he wasn't like a Hollywood hero. So, a lot of the fighting was added for the movie as well. Here's where the Eloy finally start getting the initiative to start fighting back. That was the first one. And then the rest of them, he tells the rest of them to start fighting back, and then they start listening and run. He tells them which he basically points the direction and says, leave. And this is where they all start escaping through the wells. Remember now, they've never escaped before. So whenever they've gone inside that Sphinx, they're not used to returning. So I'm sure everybody else in the town are like, what? What are you doing here? And he tells them all to start throwing sticks down the wells, which I was kind of skipping through that, sorry. So they're all throwing the sticks and everything down the wells to help feed the fires. And as they do that, the wells start collapsing within themselves. So we're given the idea that they're destroying the Morlock civilization down below. And here we are running down the steps again. I mean, like I said earlier, we're going to really make a lot of use out of those steps, which is okay. And of course, now we get a miniature of the wells blowing up and collapsing. And there's a full-size well. You can tell because that's sunlight, and that's a studio.
Still, the matching of the special effects, like going from miniature to practical, like full size, I suppose. I really enjoy it. Like it doesn't break my disbelief.
I agree. It's done well, yes.
I agree. Actually, when I watched the film in real time, because those scenes go by quite rapidly, right? So you're not like fixated on them. And I agree with Scotty. Like it can go flipping back and forth to the miniatures and the real, the real full size mock-up. But I enjoy it all the way through. I mean, it works for me, right? It doesn't take me out of the film at all.
It's a credit to the special effects of the day.
LB
exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's the special effects in this film are one of the standout points to me.
Except for that stupid blue screen.
Oh,
right, which I can overlook.
I do think though,
right.
This is a landmark 60s sci-fi film. I mean, it really is one of the top films of that decade, at least for me when I watched.
Well, and now correct me if I'm mistaken. Like he just stays with her.
Oh, wouldn't you?
Well, as commented on before,
Okay.
she's
I'll
an
be
idiot
quiet.
child.
No, she's ignorant and dumb. She's not. She's still
No,
probably
they don't.
legal.
Right? They don't establish that she's. They don't establish her age, but we're assuming that she's an adult.
Well, and
Because
when I
notice
say
that's one
child,
thing-
I mean mentally. I don't mean that she's
Yes,
like
mentally, right?
chronologically. Like she is of age for everyone
Right.
in the chat. But I'm just saying that she is by no means his intellectual partner. He's
No,
just
correct.
like, well, now that the Morlocks are done, how about
And
we?
he could, right, and he could
how
say,
about-
"Well,
do you have boots? Why
Right.
don't we knock them?"
right,
Well, I don't
according
think
to-
it's
right.
quite that blatant, to be honest.
I think it
Scotty.
is. I think
Well, I
because
disagree.
again, what is the denouement of this movie? What is the
I
end of this
disagree.
movie? Is that he finds George hangs out,
Yeah, but
and
that doesn't
then
mean,
we get like the we go back to Philby, which
and
is
you
a
assume he
nice.
knocks boots immediately, which I don't. So that's a difference of opinion.
You don't think that? Okay,
I think maybe they get to know each other for a while, and George,
I think
being the man of letters that he obviously is, might actually educate the woman a little bit
Right.
before they knock boots. If
Right,
you
and
know what I mean.
remember, he's from 1899. He's got a lot more
He
class
is.
than modern day men.
I
I think he's
appreciate
more.
that.
I think he feels more attached to her because he saved her.
I
I
think he would.
appreciate
I
that.
think he would take her under his wing, so to speak, and educate her and make her into an he would develop her into I feel an intelligent person eventually, because I think she does have some smarts, because she's obviously like most of the other ones, they don't even care that George is even there. She's obviously interested in him. She's obviously fascinated in him. So there's some connection there. So I could see I mean, there being
Well,
some kind of relationship for sure.
And I do forget myself when watching this film, because this is a gentleman, as Pop Culture Curator pointed out, from 1899.
Exactly.
He is a, and as you said, PvP, he's a man of letters, and so he's not the rogue that I would think he to be. He is a gentleman who wants, well, if I'm here, I'd rather be here
Well, the
than
thing is,
anywhere
back in-
else.
Back in
It is.
1899, he has
He
no
does fall in
female.
love with her.
He has no female connection, right, of any romantic interest. So I can understand why he might go back to her. But as you say, I think he is a gentleman, and I don't think he's going to take advantage of her. I think he's going to, as I say, educate her and try to develop her mind. And if she does make that decision someday that she wants to have a romantic relationship with George, then that'll happen. But
Hey,
I don't think he's the kind of guy that would force himself. is what I'm
Nemesis,
saying.
Nemesis of Eden. Nemesis of Eden.
Yeah.
Do you think she does butt stuff?
Oh,
Oh, here
well,
we
I
go.
mean,
All right, I'm done. I'm done.
it's okay.
I
You
don't
should
know
check
why
the
I had
chat,
to
though.
drag you into it.
Well, I
know,
know they're not
thanks,
going to
man.
show that.
Check that personal chat, though, Scotty.
All right. God.
But
stop
yeah,
it.
no, I can see
Oh,
both
God.
points. Like,
Oh, Lord.
I can exactly see where Scotty's coming from. I can see where you guys are coming from, because that's what he does do. He grabs the 3 books, which I'm not sure if, hang on, let me pull my phone out of my pocket. No, we're not there yet. Sorry. Spoilers, guys. But
I do
he
not
does go
remember
back
one of
to
those 3
educate them.
I don't think one of the 3 books was about butt stuff, though.
No.
Okay.
Oh
well,
no,
I'm
no.
sorry. Dismiss that.
Hold on, you
Dismiss
guys.
that.
We haven't got to that point yet, and we'll talk about when we get there.
Okay.
Oh,
So
my God.
here's where they notice that the Sphinx has been destroyed, and those big steel double doors are open, and he can see his machine just on the inside,
Yay.
like a bait. So he's all excited about the machine, and he keeps calling Lena over. And this is, I love this choice, because obviously she's very hesitant to walk through those doors, because they've got nothing but bad memories about those doors and about that Sphinx. So I can see why she's hesitant about walking in there. And he puts the key in.
Oh, this is, I think this is the scene I was thinking of earlier. It
Right,
actually
and the door is
is pretty
closed.
cool.
So the door is closed, so that was bait. The Morlocks
Yeah.
did that to trap him inside.
Yes.
That's the only thing.
Once again, showing that there is some semblance of intelligence to the Morlocks.
Yes, yeah, that's
Oh,
just
yes.
it, because he knows that
Definitely.
he's a threat. He's a threat to their race. So without him, they know that they can continue surviving and controlling the Eloy. But they know
Well-
as long as he's there, he can end all that.
He's also caused great destruction to their entire complex, so they probably want
Yes.
some level of revenge against George, right?
Absolutely. So
Agreed.
yeah, right. I'm sure the first thing they want to do is kill him.
That would be logical enough, I suppose.
So he
Yes, I
notices
love
that he's,
this. This is the scene I was thinking of earlier. I love this scene.
and of course he fights them off as he's trying to leave.
Great scene.
And I'm glad this is great here to show the passing of time.
Oh, this is, yeah, I love this. This is so cool.
And he escapes just in time. And he sees the Morlock laying on the ground. And as we can see, it's just we have advanced, obviously done with freeze frame, but it still looks good.
It looks great.
And
Mhm.
the technology, I want to point out the technology they used to make to do this scene, they still use to this day. And one of the most famous examples is from Raiders of the Lost Ark, where they built the dummy and then they slowly melt it with heat.
Oh, cool.
So-
Yeah. Okay.
So you're right, the exact same way they did it here.
Yeah, I love this scene. Scene is just etched in my memory. It's like, oh man, can never forget
And-
that scene.
It does remind me, like, I want to give a shout out, even though that this is sort of adjacent as opposed to being direct, but that's also a Harryhausen sort of sitch where
Yes.
you get to see the stop motion of the sitch.
Yes. That's immediately what I thought of. Well, I was like Ray Harryhausen, but I'm like, no, that he didn't do the effects here. But
It was an influence. I think it was an influence.
Absolutely,
Well-
because he was already a big name at the time.
Mhm.
He was still early on though. Like, when did he do? I mean, he was
His first movie was Mighty Joe Young, the sequel to King Kong, if you're wondering.
right. But I'm thinking
Which was
of more
in the
stuff like,
30s.
I think, but I'm thinking more of stuff like Jason the Argonauts, which would have been late 50s.
Right, but
perhaps.
remember in the 50s he did like Earth versus the Flying Saucers. It came from beneath the sea and all those.
I could see it as a tribute to Harryhausen, actually. Definitely.
Oh yeah, right. So here's something I want to explain. Perk up your ears, everybody. This is something that's in the story that is not in the movie.
Mm.
So what happens is he hits the gear there, or the lever, and he's going full speed ahead into the future. And as we see, that's where he watched the Morlock disintegrate. In the book, what happens is he goes so far into the future. I mean, he goes way more into the future. He decides he wants to see what's further. And he gets to the point where he sees a red sky and he stops the machine. And he's on a beach, a black beach. The sand is all black. And he sees the water. And then he sees the sky's red. It's extremely hot. And he sees these red look like crabs. They're like about the size of a small car.
Rad
And when he
scorpions.
I guess, but they were described, if I remember right, as like similar to crabs in the story. And when he appears on the beach, they see him and they all start scuttling towards the time machine. And he immediately hits the lever and goes back in time and escapes them just in time. And then that's where he goes back to 1899.
Well,
It all
and
becomes crab in the end.
that's the 2000, and it's a really terrible future. In 2002 Time Machine, Guy Pearce goes forward into the far future and he finds out that the Morlocks took over, and so he goes back in time just to hang out with the lady and say, let's just live here.
Wow.
Yeah, right after he killed Jeremy Irons with the time machine.
Yeah.
God, right. We even had the Uber Morlock. It's like, oh my God, of course.
Fuck. I mean, talk about depressing. Talk about depressing and just anticlimactic to any hope this movie.
They were
gives
trying to
about
steal.
humanity.
They thought they could.
Jesus.
Right. They thought they could steal the Planet of the Apes ending and nobody would guess.
Oh my
They
God.
made and they tried to make the Time Machine into a disaster movie as well.
That's
The
depressing.
attempt was
Right. And an action movie and
an action movie and everything. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And,
See,
and
then,
you
like-
know
but,
what?
like-
I'll give
It's
that a
golden
pass.
schlock. It's golden 2002 schlock.
Yeah, do you remember what they did to Jeremy Irons' character? They aged him to death with the time
Yes.
machine. I
Yes.
didn't know they could do that.
In a similar way that was presented here with the Morlock that Rod Taylor looks at. as
And I
he
have to,
goes
okay,
forward
and
through time.
I have to mention that, okay, that scene in particular where the Uber Morlock, Jeremy Irons,
Yes.
grabbed onto the time machines as it started traveling through time. And that's why only the upper part of his body started aging, if you remember right. The lower part did not age. So apparently it was because he was holding on to the time machine.
Right.
Now, that was a direct ripoff from the Ray Bradbury movie, Something Wicked This Way Comes, which is based on the story The Dark Carnival. Because the bad guy in there, Mr. Dark, they're on a carousel, which it goes through time. It turns when the carousel goes
Hang
forward.
on.
Time goes forward. But what's that?
Don't you think that the people making the Time Machine from 2002 were directly referencing the aging Morlock of the original film?
Oh, that might have been a way, but they probably somebody that was in the crew said, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if he holds onto it and he only have to disintegrates?" Right.
Of course, but
I saw it as a ripoff from Something Wicked This Way Comes because
I saw it
there.
I saw it as being an action movie version of this particular disintegration. I don't see it as being a ripoff of anything else. I see it as being a direct homage to this particular film.
Right, but it was like modern day Trek where they just throw everything in the kitchen sink in there. You know, somebody says, "Oh, I saw this in a movie once. I saw this in a TV show once." Well, throw it in.
But there's a difference when it is actually like the new Time Machine is obviously it is a ripoff or an homage or a remake or what have you. Of course, it is going to reference the original. Same way that Time After Time does. Same way that the 1978 Time Machine TV movie that I wrote
Wait. Now you're talking about something different. Time After Time was not a remake or a ripoff of anything. It was a story within itself. It played, yes, when you pay homage to something, it's when you do it with style and you're not just completely ripping it off. There is a difference between paying homage to something and ripping something off. And I don't know, but this is just my opinion. But I thought that's all the 2002 version did was just rip off from this, rip off from that. Like I said, have you ever seen Something Wicked This Way Comes?
I have not.
I saw it like 40
Well, that's what I'm saying. That you're arguing about it,
so
but you haven't seen it.
I don't remember much. But it was good. I remember that. I remember it was good.
All I'm saying is that if a movie called The Time Machine is referencing something from The Time Machine, I'm going to give credit to the original film and also as grace to the remake.
Okay. So as we see, George is now returned to January 5th, 1900. So this is exactly, remember he left on Sunday, the 31st. And now he told his friends that he'd come over for dinner on Friday. So he set the return date on the time machine for Friday evening, which is where he's at now.
So then we loop back to the beginning of the film.
No, that's the point I just made. When he left, it was on Sunday evening. His friends left. They were going out to celebrate New Year's. And he returned on Friday evening, that following Friday.
Oh,
that's why he left the invitations at the beginning of the movie, telling them to come back on Friday for dinner. So he was planning on returning on Friday. So anyway, here he is. When he appears back in his regular time, notice that the time machine is outside of his lab. It's not on the inside because the Morlocks have moved it.
Right.
So that's what it is anchored to the Earth. So he goes to knock, and of course the doors are locked, but he breaks one of the doors, goes in, everything like it was when he left. And there's the friends, like we saw them at the beginning of the movie. They're impatiently waiting for him.
That's what I said. It goes back to the beginning of the movie.
But he doesn't.
Oh, yeah, right, but never mind.
Well, George doesn't.
Right, of course he says that. He starts telling them the story, but remember, it starts with him on Sunday evening, New Year's, telling them and showing them the little model, and then he leaves. That's what I'm talking about. That's the beginning.
Yes,
I'm talking about in linear time.
Yes, sir.
So here's where he shows up, where they're all wondering what's going on. And he tries it. And of course, once again, they don't believe him. And of course, Mrs. Watchett tells him he needs to eat and he needs to retire for the evening.
You look like a hobo who's been caught in a flamethrower.
I like how they say retire for the evening. That's just so classy.
And this is where he pulls out that flower out of his pocket that Weena gave him. I should have pointed
yeah.
out earlier in the movie.
That's cool.
And he hands it over to Philby, and he says, "You're a botanist." He said, "Tell me what this is."
Yeah.
And he doesn't recognize it.
He's like, "I've never seen anything like this."
And
That's
of course,
really cool.
once again, the friends are very dismissive. They don't believe him. So they say, "Well, I guess they've already finished their dinner," and they say, "Well, let's get out of here. Let's go." Or they don't say "get out of here," but you know what I mean.
I think
Yes,
those
it is
friends-
getting late, George.
most of those
Vacate
friends-
my parlor, young man.
They're just there for the food and drink. Most of those friends, I think.
Right, especially the one that's drinking. Right, Philby is the only one that's his actual friend.
Philby's the one great. I love Philby. Philby is awesome in this movie. Like, he is a true friend.
Maybe the other ones aren't necessarily his friend. Maybe they're just well-established people that he invited over to introduce them and show them the time machine.
Oh, good point.
He needed
Yeah.
witnesses.
Yeah, it could be more like associates than friends.
Right, associates, or like if you would like right now, if you invented a time machine. I mean, yeah, you want to show it to your friends, but I would try to find like a scientist, somebody really established and well known to get them over here to look at it,
Yeah.
And two
Gosh.
bankers.
and not Stephen Hawking.
The only problem
No, but I
is-
think there
what
is
he
a
did-
certain level of like he is looking for investors to. Isn't he still looking for money?
No,
No.
Why
I
not?
think he just wants to
He
prove.
was at the beginning.
I think he wants to get recognition for what he's
he
accomplished.
never asked for money.
I thought that was
I
part
don't
of
think
it,
he
but
did.
I could be mistaken.
No, the reason why he invented it is he's talking about making something for the good of man, not a weapon of war to kill people.
And he wanted to make other people aware of it, like intelligent people that he
Right.
could trust, right?
And
Well, no,
and
but
he's
it,
talking
just,
about using it in a way to help man, not to hurt them.
it does make me wonder why he involved such a committee.
He wanted to get this.
I don't think any of them are evil people or bad people. Like, they're obviously intelligent people that he's assembled, or he wouldn't have invited them.
They say pshaw too much.
Well, it was just.
I don't know, Scotty, you're exaggerating now.
1999. Come on, Scotty.
That's never said in the movie. But okay, so here's where Philby doesn't quite. Now remember, Philby is the other guys outright brush him off, don't believe him. Philby is confused because Philby knows him personally, but he just basically he's happy to see him back, and he says, "Good night, it's grand having you back."
Yeah.
And George, unfortunately, is sad because they still don't believe him. And this is a kind of a poignant scene where he says, "Thanks for being such a good friend, always."
I love
And
this
Philby
scene.
realizes that it sounds like he's saying goodbye for good.
Yes.
Well, that's because he has knowledge that Philby doesn't.
Yeah, he knows Philby's going to die, and Philby doesn't know that yet.
But he
Whoa.
is also leaving forever.
Yes.
Yes, he is. And this is also why Philby gets the, even though he says goodbye, this is where Philby gets the initiative to hold the estate and not liquidate. Because
Yes.
this is why Philby thinks that, someday he will return.
A
Oh
true
my
friend.
God.
I mean, I think Philby's one of the great characters in this movie. I really
He
like
is.
this guy.
And he even Philby walks over to the other gentleman in the coach and asks him, "Do you believe it?" And he doesn't say yes or no. He just says, "One thing is certain, a flower couldn't bloom in the wintertime." So they look at each other, and then they leave, and they say goodnight. And he heads back in there. He wants to talk to George.
Yeah. Too
And
late.
now he's looking
Oh,
for George.
yes. If only
now
George
is where he-
waited.
Right now he's getting he hears the whirring sound, and the house is shaking. So he heads down to the lab, and he busts the door open just as the engine or the machine vanishes.
The TARDIS is gone.
You know, it would have been great in a way is if Philby had walked through the door and like the last few seconds when the machine was actually vanishing into time,
No.
and then he would have known it was real.
yes,
No, I disagree.
right, but that
I
I
was
disagree
awesome.
with that.
no, right. That it's great to have the difference of opinion, but I like the idea that Philby did not see it because it's all his faith is what's holding on to keeping that house and what happened to George.
Well,
Yes,
that's
sir.
good too.
So I do like the fact that he said no flower could bloom in wintertime, and there's a bunch of flowers behind him. Just saying.
Well, yeah, but those
Yeah,
are
I was thinking about, did he never hear of greenhouses as a horticulturalist? Like,
No
come on,
human could
greenhouses,
stack
come on,
books
Philby,
in
At least
this
greenhouses.
particular way.
well, at least it couldn't grow outside. At least not
Yeah.
outside.
It was a great
So-
line though, so I don't.
Well,
I
no,
don't
but
wanna
those are
nitpick it.
like well, and also if we have to get botanistic, like
Botanistic.
hashtag Keiko,
Ooh.
But like, if we have to go, those are kind of perennials in a greenhouse. And
Yes.
the tulip or rose that was presented to Philby, he's a botanist. He knows the difference between what you are criticizing and his scientific education. So eat a bag of dicks, Nemesis Enforcer.
No, I think it's okay. That's not necessary. But
No, I'm just joking. I'm
right.
I'm sorry.
So here's where this is where he is convinced. I mean, because he tells Mrs. Watchett, he says, this is where you can see the marks from where he drug it back in. And he says, right over there is where the Sphinx stood. So this is where he even though he did not see the machine vanish, he's pretty much convinced. And this is what made him keep the house without liquidating it.
Cobra la 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 la.
Yeah,
Have you ever been to Antarctica?
Now see how excited he is because now he believes it, but it's too late.
It is.
But he's figured it out. It's not about traveling through space. It's about traveling through time. And he
Right.
grasped
You
it
have to,
finally, which is beautiful.
And again, you have to do both.
But
Right,
it's
but
beautiful that he grasped it finally. He gets
Right, he
it.
does. Right,
Get
and that's why he realizes why he had to drag the machine back, so it would be outside
Yes.
the Sphinx.
Exactly. It's a
Because
wonderful,
Eloy builds
wonderful
a new
ending.
world.
Wonderful ending, this film.
He better hopes that he doesn't time it right and fucking lands right on top of her, though. Just appears and just.
Well, that would be, if they remade it in 2024, that probably would be the ending, actually, Nemesis.
Well,
Right.
maybe.
And I know it wouldn't serve the plot of the movie, but you'd think they would at least pack a suitcase, some spare clothes and stuff. But
Oh, like
That's
maybe
okay.
Maybe some clean underwear or something. Yeah, that's a good point.
and here's where Philby says, "Well, it seems like George wouldn't have left empty-handed." So they're looking around to see if anything's missing, and that's what missed out. I like this. Who would notice? It would be the housekeeper because she cleans everything. She knows where everything's at, the place where everything is.
Yeah.
So she's the one that notices the 3 books missing.
And she's
Yeah, but it's
dusting
kind of
them.
obvious though that there are 3 books missing.
No,
Well,
but she
yeah,
knows,
but
she knows
yeah,
what they are,
right.
though, doesn't she?
Right, it's not right. It's not like there's a big flashing arrow next to them, but yeah, it's just 3 books missing, and she's a housekeeper. She would notice that. So here's the question: what 3 books would you guys take?
Oh my God.
I would take Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I
Oh,
would take
good
The
Lord.
Great Gatsby, and I would take The Bible.
And he asked her, "What books would you take?" Here's my speculation.
Oh man, I need to think about that one.
My speculation would be a medical book about the anatomy and like almost like first aid and how to, because he's not a doctor, he's an inventor. My next one would be about, I would guess if I had to guess, would be carpentry or building. And the third one might be the Bible. Because he's going to try to establish, in order, if you want to, that's why the Bible was written in the first place. It was to get a bunch of people who couldn't communicate or get along together and bonded and to believe in one thing. But I could be wrong. That's just speculation, obviously, because they never say which books he takes. But I'm guessing, minimum, would you guys guess some sort of medical book? In case because remember, they don't have any doctors.
Yeah, the medical.
Oh, yeah. Or
the medical book makes sense.
Yeah, I would have to agree. The medical book, like at least basic. Well, I would get an encyclopedic medical book.
What is it? Grey's Anatomy.
That went from basic, medicine to
Advanced.
surgery to the whole thing, right?
Right.
If such a book exists, but I would grab that one.
Well, another book that would be handy too, because remember now they don't have the Morlocks, they need to learn how to take care of the plants, fruits, and vegetables, and grow everything themselves now. So that would be another book.
Agricultural science, yes.
Yes. Uh-huh.
I would take the Star Trek chronology.
Yeah, they could bring a history book.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man.
What was that? What'd you say, Daniel?
They can bring a history book to teach them their history.
Yeah, but I don't think that if you only had 3 books, I have a feeling that history is not important at that point.
Well, the thing is,
you could.
The thing is, too, Daniel, the history book he took would have been written in like 1899 or whatever, so it would hardly apply to some civilization 10,000 years in the future, right? Like they'd look at that and they go, "What's this?" It wouldn't make any sense to them, right?
Yeah, it's 800, not 10,000. 800,000. It's 800.
Unless he made a pit stop into the future, like I don't know, the 2030s to the 2040s, and just whatever.
Well, maybe.
Well, if it happens, it's off screen. So they're implying here that he heads straight back to where the Eloi are.
Yeah,
And
like
that
he
is
took the
what
shelves.
happens in the
He
book.
took the book off an 1899 bookcase, so that's what I'm going with, right?
What it is it's symbolic. That basically him and Weena are Adam and Eve.
And he's going to bring knowledge to the Eloi and try
Right.
and revive their civilization, which is cool.
Right. So if you only had 3 books, you'd think it'd be ones that would help them survive, right? Because now they don't have the Morlocks anymore. No one to feed them.
I think
Hey,
I'd
welcome,
go with.
Jill.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead, Gorilla.
Welcome, Jill.
Oh,
Hello, Jill. Good to see you. Hope you're
Jill.
doing well, Jill.
Boy, this is a great stream tonight, Jill.
I know, and I'm sorry,
Hey,
Jill. We're
Jill.
right, as you can see, Jill, we're right at the end of the movie. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're getting there. I would
Jill-
take a medical book, a construction book, and how to build, and a book about farming. Those are the 3 I'd take.
Yep, that would be smart. And Jill said that, believe it or not, this is a different angle. She saw the remake first before she saw this original one.
Oh, my condolences, Jill.
It's not that bad, you monkey.
I didn't ask her which one she liked best, but I know she said she saw the remake first. That's okay. We've had that a lot where they see remakes first and then the originals, which is totally fine.
Well, and this is what I've always said about science fiction remakes and in the classics. Any classic remake, if you are directed towards the better version through the remake, good. If you were first introduced to the Time Machine with Guy Pearce and what's his name, Alfred,
Jeremy Irons.
that's him. Like, if that's the first one that you saw and then you went back and you saw this one, I'm glad that the first one exists so that you went back to see the good one.
Oh, me too. Right. Yes. I'm glad she did see this one.
So no harm, no foul to the remake, because it introduces people to the old.
Right.
Or
As long as
classic.
I tell everybody out there, if you've seen the remake and not the original, please go back and watch the original. I don't want
Much better.
I don't want I don't want your opinion to be tainted. But I have to say this, and I know it's not related, but every time I hear Jeremy Irons' name, all I think of is cigarette smoker. Because there were several interviews that I've seen where co-stars that worked with him says he's such a chain smoker that that's all they can smell.
You know what?
Breath. And the women said that it was kissing him. They said it was a nightmare. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's the only reason I can't get any acting jobs is because of my chain smoking.
Well, you just don't do it in front of the camera.
No, I can't help it. I'm a chain smoker.
Does anybody know who Michael Landon was?
Yes.
He was such a heavy. Remember, he died of cancer from smoking.
Mm-hmm.
He was such a heavy smoker.
Yul Brynner, heavy smoker.
Yes, but
who's
Michael
the guy
Landon,
who played Bullet?
Steve McQueen.
Yeah, heavy smoker, died young, lung cancer.
What's interesting about Michael Landon is he smoked so heavily. They said that when he took off his boots and his shoes, his socks smelled so much like cigarettes that his nickname was Socks.
And that's what I've been aspiring to do.
Anyway, back to the Time Machine. So, Mrs. Watchett asks Philby, do you think he'll return? One cannot choose but wonder, he says. See, he's got that smile on his face. But the only thing he's wondering is, does George have a reason to return?
No.
And, of course, we get the famous line again. You see, he has all the time in the world.
And that is when Mrs. Bond gets shot in the face. Oh, sorry, wrong movie.
And he says goodnight.
Actually, I wonder if they took that line from this movie, Scotty.
It's curious. I don't know. We have all the time in the world.
We'll probably never know, but I think it has something to do with that song too, right?
Either way, it's interesting to sort of curio over that choice.
It's nice to speculate.
Yeah. Thank you for saying it more succinctly.
I need to add something here. I need to add a post note. I bought the DVD version of this when it came out with commentary and all the extras. Okay.
Nice.
This was late 90s, early 2000s. And I tried to find, I don't have the DVD anymore. I tried to find this clip that I'm going to describe, but I haven't been able to find it. I probably will at some point. I'm going to keep looking. One of the extras on the DVD is Rod Taylor, and I'm sorry the name escapes me, for the guy who played Philby. They were both alive when they did the DVD special edition. So they filmed a really brief scene where George comes back from the future with the time machine, and they used the actual prop from Bob Burns. He was the owner of the prop at the time. He let him borrow it, and they filmed a short scene where they did a remock-up of the lab, and George returns. He's older, and Philby comes in and sees him. Philby's also older, and they kind of talk a little bit. George tells him a little bit, but then George basically goes back, and Philby uses that line again about all the time in the world. So it was nice to see those two actors play those characters again in the 90s. Remember, this is the 90s they filmed this. So I thought that was amazing. And another post note, right after the movie was made, not long after, it was auctioned off for about $500. A traveling sideshow circus kind of thing bought it. And they used it for a couple of years. Next thing you know, it ended up in a thrift shop in Orange County, California. And that's where some fans spotted it. Fortunately, the right kind of fans. They pulled it out. It had been, okay, first of all, the face of the control panel where you see the date and the months, that had been removed because after they filmed the movie, they removed that the wheel and the seat and everything, and then pulled that out so they could shoot the scenes where we see time passing, because they couldn't get a camera inside where the seat is to show that console. So they removed the console so they could film the scenes where we see the dates turning. So when they found the machine all decrepit, basically in really bad shape in the thrift shop, the dashboard was missing, the console in the front, and the wheel was still there. The chair was almost disintegrated. Anyway, the whole thing was in bad shape. So that's when Bob Burns, he's well known around there. He owns like some of the original spaceships from Plan 9 from Outer Space. He owns some of the original copper ships from War of the Worlds. He's got a whole museum, or at least used to. I don't know if he's still around. But he's one of the best collectors in Hollywood. He got his hands on that machine, restored it with the help, and guess who helped him? DC Fontana, of all people.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Right, so he got a team of, and he also got, I think Wah Chang was still alive. So Wah Chang came back, helped him, and so did DC Fontana and a group of other people, and they helped him restore it back to its original condition. And then that's when he moved it into his museum. So if you ever look up Bob Burns, he was like kind of like Forrest J. Ackerman, if anybody's ever heard of him. He had this, and now Guillermo del Toro, they had this huge house which they turned into a museum with all these fascinating items. I mean, Bob Burns even had like Bela Lugosi's original cape from Dracula. I mean, all that really cool stuff. So sorry I didn't mention that. So basically, that's what happened to the full-size time machine. So it got dilapidated, ended up in a pawn shop or a thrift shop, picked up, restored, and then now it's back in its main condition in a museum, which I think is great. But like I said at the beginning, the miniature version, which was inside the little box with the red velvet, George Powell, the director, took that home because he loved it, but his house eventually caught fire and burned, taking that with him. So the original version, so the original miniature no longer exists.
That sucks.
Well, and I admire any science fiction fan who recreates this particular piece of machinery. I think it's an iconic piece of machinery. It is my favorite time travel device. And I think I put that over the DeLorean, and I love DeLorean.
Oh, me too. I picked this over the DeLorean. DeLoreans, I love it. It's fun and everything. But if I had to pick it, I mean, even though this thing doesn't move like the DeLorean, you can drive the car and it flies. That, like I said, the steampunk Jules Verne 1800 style. I love it.
And like switches and knobs and levers and
yes,
and then you get to see it as it's working. Like I wouldn't want like modern special effects. Well, I totally enjoyed it when I saw in the 2002 modern special effects CGI version of this, but there is nothing that will top or duplicate the classic. So this is one of my favorite like classic sci-fi movies. I put this up there with Forbidden Planet.
Yes, exactly.
And I put
agree
this up
100%,
the
Scotty.
day the Earth stood still. This is a
Yes,
seminal,
yes, they're all
seminal
classics.
science fiction film. And so, thank you so much for letting me talk about it, man.
We're on the same.
My pleasure.
wavelength. We're on the
I
same
gotta take my
wavelength.
leave. PvP.
Oh, no.
No, I do. It's okay.
Well,
You love it when I leave.
Well, thank you for joining us,
No,
Scotty.
I don't love it when you
appreciate
leave. I enjoy chatting with you, Scotty. Just don't
Yes,
say
Cheers.
things like that, man.
Yeah, thank you,
Nemesis
Scotty.
is- I'll see you soon, and thank you also, Daniel's Hot Topics.
All right,
You're a
real
gorgeous
quick,
man, and
Scotty.
Gorilla. What?
Right, real quick, Scotty. Grade.
This
Yeah, ABC. What grade?
A with all the pluses.
Thank you. Appreciate
so-
it, and thank you for spending time with us and your input.
Thank
Nice
you
to
for
chat
having
with you,
me. I
Scotty.
appreciate it.
Have a good one, man.
Later, taters.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, well, that makes me hungry.
Okay,
for
so
potatoes
how-
now.
Gorilla, you still with us there?
Yeah.
Glad
Hanging
to
in
hear
there,
it.
Gorilla.
Would you like to help me get caught up on the chat, Gorilla?
Oh my.
If I must.
Oh God.
I'm glad you're still with us. I'm
Come
sorry.
on, we
it's so late.
appreciate your effort, Gorilla. We really do.
Oh, I couldn't do without him. Absolutely.
He's the chat master.
Holy
Absolutely.
crap, where did we leave off on this here?
Oh no.
And Melter Copper says to his friends, George shouldn't drink or dabble in the
Menace.
reefer menace.
No, I don't think he does.
And Other Greg says a great movie.
I agree.
Well,
Thank you.
Delta Copper says, I don't know about 3 books, but he should bring 3 seashells and teach them how to use the 3 seashells who don't know how to use the 3 seashells.
It's possible.
Yeah. And Other Greg thinks it was a perfect ending.
I agree with
Daniel
that.
says maybe Philby is a Christian. That could be why he does not like the idea of time travel.
Very possible.
Cobra la 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 la. And Jill says
I'm
hello.
not sure what that reference means.
Hello. Hello, Jill. And Jill say hi to all of us. Oh, that's okay. I love hgwells, says Jill.
Excellent. It makes sense.
And now she remembers Nemesis.
And the rest. Right, and the rest.
Poor Nemesis.
Yeah, Jill says, yes, I like the remix. As a result, my favorite is the pretend stage show song. There's a place called Tomorrow, a place called Joy, not of sorrow. It's a place for you and
Me?
I'm guessing.
oh, also, hi Daniel. Didn't see you there.
Yes, he is here. Daniel's always so quiet.
Jill says, I'm so glad you know Scotty. And not Emma P.
Oh, not Emma Peel. That's from the Avengers.
And welcome Cam's Crash Courses. Welcome.
Hey, Cam,
Well,
good to see you. Sorry you missed the stream.
Well, no, he's been watching. He's been watching.
Oh, good.
Okay, very cool.
He's been lurking.
Hey,
there.
Cam. Hey, Joe.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah. She was a smoker until the very end. You could say, right?
Glad I quit smoking like 35 years ago. Best decision I ever made.
Same here.
Jill says, no, Scotty, haven't seen it, don't like it, because it killed Diana Rigg.
Okay, she's talking about the James Bond movie.
She's talking about the Bond movie. Yeah.
And C4 says, howdy. And they're saying hi.
I don't think Jill's seen that movie, though. I bet she's just heard spoilers because I don't think she's seen most of the Bond movies last time I spoke with her about them.
Yeah. Melt Copper says Diana Rigg is probably better than Jerry Rigg. Those always go bad.
Jerry Rigg, that's a good one. Ha, 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 ha. Not an actual person, I'm guessing.
He says no problem to Jill. Jill says great show earlier, also super fun. Gill stream.
Oh, I wish I could have seen that Day of the Dove stream today. Oh, I'm so mad I missed that.
And PvP says On Her Majesty's Secret Service is a great film. Too bad you got that spoiler. It was an intense moment when I first saw it. And he says, thank you, Cam. Yes, Gil would have loved it so much. What a wheel. Jill, by the way, Emma Peel misses you. She's waiting for you to watch another Avengers. And Scurvy here says, awesome film from what I could tell by this stream.
Ooh.
Oh, Lemon, you got to
Lemon,
watch this
yeah.
movie.
Scurvy,
Okay.
right here. I'm pasting it now.
Yeah, I hope we didn't spoil it for you, Lemon Pie. Please go and watch it when you
Yeah,
get a chance.
Lemon, yeah, this is
there
a
you go,
great,
Scurvy.
great film.
There you
One
go,
of the
Scurvy.
best-
I got the link for you.
One of the best classic
Thank you,
sci-fi
Gorilla.
films. Lemon, please watch.
Yeah.
Right, thank you for posting that, Gorilla. There you go, everybody. In the chat, Gorilla just posted a link so you can watch this movie.
Gorilla's not only the chat master, he's the link master as well.
And Copper here says Bill and Ted nod their heads in shame.
I like the Bill and Ted movies, at least the first one.
Yeah, I love them. The Borg nod their head in shame, said Copper. And Jill says PvP is referring to our public, but not advertised watch parties on Sunday where we watch Avengers and Man from Uncle.
Yes.
And yeah, we will probably watch this weekend in my Cosby room.
Oh,
Cool.
great. Thanks for letting me know, Jill. I will have to pick an Avengers episode because I usually do pick one, so I will have to get that done the next few days.
Have you watched the one with Peter Cushing?
We have.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Great episode. Yeah.
Yes.
The trouble is I'm running out of Avengers episodes because I figured the only ones really worthwhile are the 50 with Emma Peel, right? Because those are the
Well,
classics.
they're my favorite.
Yeah, they're the standard go-to episodes of the Avengers, and I think Jill and I must have watched probably over half of them by now because we've been
Okay.
watching them. Oh, it's got to be like a year or something now, like a long time. So we're definitely getting through them. Like we don't watch them every week. That's the thing. So, but I think we're probably down to maybe 20 episodes now. So I got
Cool.
to figure out which ones to pick because I keep trying to
Okay.
find great ones, and then of course we've watched most of the great ones, so I get down to the really good ones, and it's like okay, yeah, but whatever, I'll figure something out.
Okay. So what chat is next?
And Copper here says later, James Doohand.
It's Doohan, not Doohand.
I think it's pronounced doing.
Oh, it's not spelled like that. I know that much.
Yes, it is an amazing wheel. I love it.
And yes, C4 says amazing wheel. Hey, I haven't napped today yet.
No, he's been with us the whole time.
Oh, you have my sympathies. Oh man, I know what it's like to be tired.
I took
Okay,
my nap last night.
Oh,
okay.
my
As a
goodness
reminder,
me.
everyone, there is a poll in the chat. If you get a chance, please feel free to vote on what you think of the movie or how you think we handled the stream and our review of the movie. And if you haven't done so, thank you. If you haven't done so yet, consider hitting the like button. Maybe subscribe to my channel. And so what I usually do is I go around and I get everybody's grade here that are on the panel, and then I'm going to show the results of the chat poll.
Don't leave us yet, Jill. You got to wait for my F.
We want Jill's vote on this too because she's probably seen it. Maybe I hope.
Yeah, Jill, give us your vote in the chat if you'd like. Okay, Gorilla, what is your grade? What do you think of this movie, and what do you think of it? Tell us about your channel.
Total F. I couldn't suspend my disbelief. There's no volcano under England. They turned the Eli into a bunch of blonde bimbos there. They made the Morlocks so clowny and all that, and I'm just joking. It's a great movie. This is a great movie. I mean, there's some stuff, you can nitpick the crap out of it, but we do it out of love. It's good. It has good build up. It follows the source material almost to the T.
Yes, it does.
There, I had the great lines, good acting. Yeah, some stock footage in there, but every movie seems to do that, And I just had a fantastic musical note, and I don't think any movies nowadays would take the same time and care to do the detail that they do in this movie.
I agree. So, what grade would you give it?
A+.
Excellent. Tell us about your channel.
Well, I'm gonna try to get a couple more shorts out this next week and all that. I do got a couple shorts there, like I caught a ghost in my house.
Right?
Really?
You got a paranormal sighting there.
Did you get a video of it?
Yes, it's on my channel, PvP.
Oh, I gotta check that out.
Yeah. Then we'll have Justified on Wednesday there, and come to our Walton's review for our inappropriate jokes. there on that one. You never know what the hell's gonna come out of our mouth on that
Oh,
one.
that's very true. I will probably be there, by the way, Grill, on Friday,
Cool.
unless unforeseen circumstances, like if gypsies kidnap me or something, I won't be there. But I don't think that's probably going to happen in my part of the world, so should be able to attend.
Then Saturday I might, if I can't remember. Oh, what was that movie? I don't know if I'm gonna be streaming on Saturday
Oh, yeah.
because that's the Return to the Lost World from 1992.
Okay.
And, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to stream because we got a free ticket to a movie on Saturday.
Nice.
Go
Hopefully
for it.
Godzilla, hopefully.
No, it's hey, I'd have to look. See
That
what-
good, huh?
Well, hey, a free ticket's a free ticket, you know. Like if you don't have to
Right.
drive too far, I say go for it.
Hopefully
Hey,
it's
guys.
not Wish.
Nope, it's not Wish. It's Migration.
Never heard of it.
Same here. I haven't heard of it either.
Yeah,
So, interesting. You have to let us know how that is.
and
Buy some
Oh,
popcorn.
yeah.
At least you'll enjoy that, you know.
then Sunday, we are reviewing or we are watching the Mad Max 2 movie.
Road
Yes!
Warrior.
Road
As known
Warrior,
in the, right, as known in the U.S., it's Road Warrior.
my favorite Mad Max movie. of all
Yeah,
time.
and I'm jealous
Love it.
because I'm jealous because I would put that on my stream, but I don't know if it falls as horror sci-fi. It's like dystopian. So yeah, Lucky Gorilla, everybody. It's a magnificent movie. If you haven't seen it, please be there.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to that. I want to thank Gorilla for doing the Mad Max series this month because I as much as I'm not a fan of maybe the last film, I thought it was a little weak, but I love the Road Warrior's in one of my top sci-fi movies, dystopian films of all time for sure.
Excellent. Okay, anything else, Gorilla?
No, that's all I got planned.
Okay, I appreciate. Thank you for giving us your review and your input and helping me with the chat tonight.
Yeah, no problem.
What say you, Daniel? What do you think? Can you give us your grade and tell us about anything you want to share about your chat?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, first of all, this is a fantastic movie. Thanks for showing it, Pop. I love
My
this movie.
pleasure.
It's just so well crafted, so well done. You know, I rather watch this movie than a lot of the crap they churn out nowadays.
Oh yes.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and I gotta say, this movie was actually better than the 2003 movie. You know, I mean, I like the 2003 movie, but this one was way better than the 2003 movie and the 1978 movie.
I agree completely. So, what grade would you give it?
I would definitely give it an A+.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Is there anything you want to share about your channel?
Well, I haven't done any videos on it yet, and I'm trying to do shows with my friend Steampunk, but you know, so far, you know, no such success.
Well, I appreciate you being with us tonight and watching this and giving us your input. I appreciate it, Daniel.
Yeah, awesome.
All right. So next we have my good friend Nemesis of Eden. So what say you, Nemesis? What would you
Just
think
one
of the movie?
second.
Yes, Gorilla.
Welcome, Slow Specs Linux Laptop. Welcome.
Oh, hello, Low Spec. Good to see you.
Hello, Low Spec.
Go ahead.
Oh, hi, Low Spec. Gee, I don't know if we've seen Low Spec on before. Thanks
I
thanks
know
for
I've seen
joining.
Low Spec before, but I don't know if Low Spec has been on my stream. So yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
joining us.
Thanks
Good
for
to see you.
popping
I hope you're doing well. Yeah. Nemesis, what say you about this movie and your channel?
Yeah, this is a solid sci-fi film for sure. The prop design, like you said, was great. The special effects are fantastic. The acting is fantastic as well. Really well acted. Yeah, I'd give it probably A-.
Very cool.
Yeah, definitely recommend it. And I don't have tainted memories like you guys do of the other ones. So, as a standalone film, it's really good. It opens up a lot of questions as to the possibilities of what that machine could imply. So, yeah, all in all, decent.
All right.
And
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and when it comes to my channel, I've been doing Skullgirls, which is a fighting game, and I've been doing Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, which is Yu-Gi-Oh! Except in a different format. So if
Nice.
you're into that, thank you. Definitely check me out and subscribe. I'd love to have you. And
I
thanks to the
appreciate
chat and everyone for being here. I appreciate all y'all. I'm not sure if I said hello to everyone, but if I didn't, hello. Thank you for being here. And to anyone in the future who watches this on the rerun, thank you for being here. Subscribe to me, everyone on the panel, and especially Pop Culture Curator, because he deserves your subscription.
Oh, thank you. And it was a blast having you here, Nemesis. Thank you.
Oh, it's always a blast being here with you, Pop. Thank you so much. And everyone else, of course.
Once again, the pleasure is all mine. Thank you. PvP, you're up at bat. So what do you say about this movie and your channel?
Oh, okay, well, she's like, I love baseball, so I better get a good swing on here and hit a grand slam. Well, I just got a actually after Nemesis comments towards the end there. I got to say I love and appreciate all you guys on the panel here. You guys are always great fun. We always have interesting discussions. We trade interesting comments and insights with each other. You guys always stimulate my mind and make me think of stuff I never thought about when I watched the film. Even if I've seen a film, 5 or 6 times, you guys will always find some way to add something new to the experience that I've never thought of. So I want to say I love and appreciate all you dudes so much. Of course, I can't leave out the chat because without the chat, we're nothing, right? So we got to love the chat. Anyway, I'll quit yakking about that and talk about the actual film. I think this is one of the great sci-fi movies of the 1960s. It's an all-time classic. There's nothing about this film I can really criticize too heavily. The story's great. The acting's great. The special effects are great. I mean, there's nothing about this film that comes to mind that affects me in a negative way. So I'm going to give it a solid, strong A+ because I love this movie so much. For me, it's up there with films like Forbidden Planet. Obviously, it's just a classic film. And gosh, I guess I probably don't need to say much more because it's just an awesome film. And I can't think of anything wrong with it, really. So I'll just move on to a quick description on my channel. It's all about rock. Well, obviously rock and roll because I have never got around to putting up videos yet, but I do a lot of playlists. And actually over the last weekend, I put up Richie Sambora's 3rd solo album, which is actually quite good. He's like the guitarist, second banana in, oh God, Bon Jovi, which I'm not a Bon Jovi fan by any means. I just never got into Bon Jovi. So for some weird reason, though, I found his Richie Sambora's 3rd album, solo album, to be quite good. Like it's surprisingly good. Well, let's put it this way: it was so good when it came out like 10 years ago. I asked my cousin if he could buy it for me for Christmas, and he did. So that's how much I love the album. And it's actually really a good listen, guys, if you want to check it out. And I guess that's about it, actually. I can't think of anything else, and I don't want to hog the time too much. So yeah, right. I guess that's about it, Pop.
Well, thank you for being here with us tonight, PvP. I appreciate your input and
always
joining
love
us.
Being here.
All right, so I guess that means it's my turn now. All right, let me get this here. So this is one of my favorite movies from childhood. A+. I can't add enough pluses to it. I enjoy it so much. I love it because honestly, I haven't seen it in probably at least since early 2000s, and I learned a lot. Again, every time the older I get, the more I watch. The more times I watch it, the more I learn. And I think it's like a really good thing in life. It ripens with age. It's one of those that I don't care if it's 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. It still stands out better than anything that can be done in modern day Hollywood. Once again, the special effects, the acting, the people, the characters, the casting, magnificent, excellent soundtrack. Like Gorilla was mentioned, the soundtrack, it's really good. I can remember the soundtrack, even though I had not seen the movie in 20 years. And I guarantee you, I cannot say that about any Marvel movie or any of the recent movies. I can't remember what they sound like. It sounds like white noise to me. It just sounds like garbage and noise and things being banged together. This was made back in the day when they used to have really good soundtracks that was like listening to classical music. So the special effects, obviously, I'm in love with the design, the time machine itself. I always wish I owned one. Not a real time machine, but a little miniature like he had in the beginning of the movie. But A plus 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 endless. It's one of my favorites. Tomorrow night we're going to be at Gorilla's Random Thoughts and myself. We'll be completing the second season of Gilligan's Island. We'll have the last 2 episodes of the second season before we dive into the third season in a week or two. So I urge you all to be there if you can, if you like Gilligan's Island. And Saturday, I should be back with the rumblings from the lab. And then Monday, Lost in Space. We'll be back with another episode of Lost in Space. And I urge you to. That's another thing. If you like the classic Lost in Space show, and you have not seen my stream, I urge you to join us. I think you'll have a good time. You'll learn a lot, and I think you'll have a blast. Believe me, you can't. There's no way you're going to go in and tune in without having fun. But thank you guys. Let me remove myself. So I want to thank everybody on the panel for giving me your review. And now I'm going to go in and I'm going to end the poll in the chat and then share that with the results with everyone. So thank you for voting, everybody. If you voted, thank you. Thank you. So here we go. Give me a moment. I'm wrapping this up because I know it's really late for everybody, and I apologize for that. So here we go. What grade would you give the time machine? It looks like we got 22 votes. Excellent.
Wow,
A plus to A. It is. So thank you, guys. A plus to A minus got a 90%. Oh, amazing.
Yay.
B plus to B minus 4%. C plus to C minus 4%. And fortunately, everybody at least enjoyed it at some level or another. Nobody voted D plus to F minus. So I do appreciate that. Like I said, and once again, thank you so much for voting and interacting with us tonight and giving us your opinions. I love the chat, and we would be nothing without the chat. And you guys are what make everything worthwhile. It's fun. I mean, I had a really good time. Once again, this is the highlight of my week, and I'm always looking forward to it. And I'll be posting here the next day or so which movie we're going to have for next Tuesday for our horror sci-fi stream. That's not quite set in concrete yet. I keep losing, honestly, I keep losing track of which one we're supposed to show next. And so
Yeah.
I know we have 4 that we're supposed to rotate through.
I was going to ask, because we watched The Hammer Frankenstein like a week ago or whatever, right, Pop?
Yes, last week was Hammer.
So
and
I
now
know
it's
there's
the Time Machine. This is a sci-fi choice because we were supposed to do a sci-fi.
I know Dracula's flapping
I
around
think it
in the
might be.
background.
I think it might be Nemesis of Eden's turn to choose a movie of his topic, and he has already informed me that it's going to be Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
I didn't say that. I said that's well, then maybe it will be.
I have no idea what that is. I might take a pass on that one actually.
Well, it's based on obviously it's based on the '60s Scooby-Doo series.
Yeah, I've never seen an episode of Scooby-Doo, I have to admit.
Oh, okay.
What?
I was too old when it came out. Like I was a teenager. I just couldn't get into it, I guess, but
that's okay.
For shame. And no, it is not necessarily just Scooby-Doo.
Wasn't my cup of tea, right?
Okay, so you're not really sure. So you're not really sure yet, Nemesis?
No, I said that was one of the options. I also mentioned there's Train to Busan.
Well, I'll let you choose. So I'll tell you what. Unless you're ready to pick right now, you can let me know tomorrow or the next day or whatever, and then let me know. So it's still up in the air, everybody. All right, still up in the air, everybody, as far as what movie we're going to show next week. Stay tuned to Twitter or my channel, and you will find out soon which one we're going to be covering.
Okie dokie.
So once again, thank you, everybody in the chat. Most of all, everybody in the panel. Gorilla helped me with that chat tonight. Great job, and thank you for sticking with us. I know it's late for you. And
no problem.
I had a great time.
Get some sleep, Gorilla.
Yes, yeah, he worked hard, and the guy deserves a good night of sleep.
Poor man, he needs sleep. I know how he feels. I have many days tired when I'm working myself, and I'm thinking, oh, I should have got 2 more hours, but I didn't.
Right, and he has to work again in the morning too. So
I got to work tomorrow too. Yeah, it sucks, but you got to pay the rent.
Good night, everybody. Take care. Stay warm. Drive safe tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Yeah, good night.
Good night.
Hold on,
Good
hold
night,
on.
guys.
Wait, Gorilla has something to say. What's that, Gorilla?
Well, we did have a bunch of chats come in while we are doing our reviews
Oh,
here.
Oh,
Thank you.
Go for it.
Thank you. Yeah, we don't want to forget those. Thank you.
Jill says, "Good night, guys."
Good
Good night,
Jill.
Jill.
He says James Doohan is the way his name is spelled.
Yes, that's
Copper
correct.
said it was great. The KS for sharing the link and sharing this YouTube me old film.
Excellent.
Then we got a penguin here. Spec says the old 1960 flick is so much better than the remake.
Oh, yes, we have another fan. Excellent.
Then we got our person turquoise waving from Taylor Swift.
Thank you, Taylor.
Taylor goes, Jill!
Yes, we have
Oh.
Jill's biggest fan.
Sadly, Joe's probably gone to see that. Oh, God.
Yeah, Belts Copper said, I wanted to see the movie Ugara.
I don't know what that means.
No idea what the hell that is.
Little Spec says, you should do A Boy and His Dog takes place in 2024. No, that's a 1979 movie.
No, he's talking about it takes place in 2024.
Oh,
No, I agree. I read the original story, Harlan Ellison, and I was not a fan of the movie. It doesn't stick very close to the story, but I will think about it, Low Spec. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's a Harlan Ellison movie. Does it have one of the guys? From that cop show?
I don't. Yeah. Miami Vice.
Miami Vice. Yeah, it's
Don
got
Johnson.
Don Johnson in the lead, right? Okay.
Yeah, I actually saw it at the drive-in.
I saw it years ago, and I thought, well, it's okay, but it was nothing spectacular.
The story's much, much better. It's just that Harlan Ellison is very difficult to film. I'll put it that way.
And Harlan
That's
Ellison
why-
is difficult to deal with too.
Yes, that's why he puts Corn Waiter Bird on all his movies, right? Because it doesn't
Good.
satisfy them.
I don't think I'd ever touch any story with Harlan when he was alive with a 10-foot pole, to be honest, Pop.
Okay, so what's next, Gorilla?
Cam says, take it easy, everyone. We'll see you,
So,
Cam.
right, you too, Cam.
You too.
Melta Copper says he should maybe not do A Boy and His Dog, stick to doing ladies.
I don't know. Go ahead.
And thanks, I enjoyed the stream. I wanted to start to participate more, but circumstances didn't permit. See you on the flip side.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Edge of Time, but I'm glad you were here. So I'm glad you had a good time. Thank you.
Edge, just get in your time machine and go back like a day, and you can watch it for new.
Right. Right. And if you have any comments, leave them in the comment section.
That's
I appreciate
right.
that.
You can vote in the poll and everything.
Good night, Melta Copper.
Good night.
Yeah. And then Scurvy says, yeah, good stream, Pop, in the panel in the chat.
My pleasure. Good to see you, Lemon.
Yeah. Good to see
Copper
you.
here says, all the best grunge singers dead, but Eddie Vedder is still around. Yay. I don't know who that is.
He's talking about 1990 Seattle grunge music scene, which had a few good bands, but I never got into it.
I don't know what that has to do with Cocker Spaniels, but okay. Okay. What else is there?
Melta Copper says, Hammer Frankenstein. What about Hammerman and the MC Hammer cartoons? Or Sledger?
Dude, you're getting off topic with almost everything you say, and I don't understand why, Melta Copper. I'm sorry, but a lot of things you're saying have nothing to do with what we're doing here tonight.
Yeah, it's getting pretty rambling, to be honest.
Yeah. All right. What's next, Gorilla?
All right. Scurvy says, good night, fellers.
Night,
Go,
night, Lemon.
there's still 40 minutes to feed the Mogwai. Oh, he means gremlins. Yes, it's the 70s movie set in 2024. All right, that's all the chats.
Okay. All right, everybody. Once again, thank you, everybody in the chat. I love you guys. I hope to see you soon on another stream. And thank you to everybody on the panel for helping me out tonight. I couldn't have done it without you.
No problem.
Bye-bye, guys.
Good night, guys. Have a good one. It was fun.
Night all.